All right, guys. I think I got it.
Let's see if it actually worked. It says that I'm live, so it should be good. All right. Why is it so skinny? Oh, is it just because it's waiting for Bryant? Okay. Brent says this guy stinks. Okay. Can you guys hear me? I have my earbuds in, so this is a quick test to make sure that you can actually hear me before I bring Bryant in and see if you can hear both of us. So, yeah. Also, long story short, YouTube hid the go live button for going live together to invite someone to your stream. They hide it below the like home bar at the bottom of the screen. So I had to go through my settings and find disable the home bar to make it a swipe up in order to actually access the button down there. Like I couldn't go live. All right, Brent can hear us. That's good. That's good. All right, guys, welcome to the stream. We're a little bit delayed. Technical difficulties, always fun, but thankfully we got it running. We've got it rolling. And tonight I have a special guest who will be joining us. You've heard the name dropped on the channel at least once or twice, and he's been in the comments once or twice as well. I will be having Bryant Voss hopping in and joining us for the live stream. Now, if everything is going well, I'll go ahead and bring him into the stream. So it does seem like you guys can hear me, so that's good. And yeah, let's bring Bryant in here. I don't know why it's looking odd, but that's okay. All right, does everything look normal to you guys, or does the screen look really funky? Does everything look normal, or does it look really weird? I'm guessing it looks really strange, but that's okay. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and bring Bryant into the stream. So let's get this rolling. Where is the approval for him? Nope, nope, not that. Guys, we have more technical difficulties. All right, let's, I don't think this is the best way to do this. Is it still rolling? All right, there we go. Okay, apologies once more for additional tech difficulties, but I hear Bryant.
Hello, hello.
Hey, look at that, we got it.
Let's go.
Awesome. Yeah, Bryant, so if you didn't see it, long story short, when I went to go click the go live and it was just like blocked by that bottom bar, I had to find my system settings and disable that bar at the bottom. So I had to make it a swipe up. I'd never done that before, so
yeah, now you know.
Exactly. Now I know. It took me like
get
15
those errors
minutes.
out of the way now, and get all that stuff figured out the first time. That way you don't have to do it again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I wish I had just attempted to hit the button and realized that it was going to be blocked and figured it out before, trying to go live.
Yeah.
But hey, that's all right.
Rookie
That's
mistakes.
all right. Well,
it's all good.
It's good to see you, man. Thanks for hopping on and joining.
You as well. Really I appreciate the reach out, the invite.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's always fun to chat. And so we'll have a nice little conversation, little interview here. And so, guys, in the comments, feel free to chat and ask questions throughout. I'll shout out a couple of things here and there. But for the most part, like if you really want like a big question, answered, toward the end will be best for that. But I'll try to keep an eye on the chat and shout out anything interesting popping up. Also, Justin says, got an insane story. On Saturday, got 6 aces in a round. That's Justin 2. That sounds pretty wild. I don't know how you get 6 aces in a round. You must have been on fire or playing a putter course. But that's pretty insane. Well, hey, let's jump right into it. And yeah, so if you guys don't know, this is Bryant Voss. Bryant, welcome to the stream officially.
It's an honor.
Bryant and I we met at the Eagles Wings Unchained conference this last year and played a round of disc golf together, which was nice. We ended up both struggling a little bit through some of the rounds that we played over the weekend, but we had a good time. It's always a blessing to play disc golf and got to know each other. So now Bryant is here on the stream and I've got questions. So first up, Bryant, how long have you played disc golf?
So I started playing disc golf. I keep trying to remember, but I want to say it was way back in 2007. I think it was right before I graduated high school. My brother-in-law and sister introduced me in Minnesota, and it was ultra casual from about 2007 until 2020. And then my family and I, God moved us to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in the beginning stages of the pandemic. And I realized that, it's competitive. There's tournaments, professionals get paid to play this for a living. And I was blown away. I was even more hooked than I was before I learned that it was competitive.
That's really cool. So you've played a lot longer than I have because I only threw my first, I guess I technically threw a disc when I was like 15 and I hated it. But really, I only threw a disc 3 years ago. Was like my first real experience playing disc golf.
Okay.
But you know me, I dove all in on it. And yeah, like you, you kind of get the competitive scene and you're like, oh man, like this is really an organized thing. There's people playing, could play in events. Like it's a huge thing.
It is. It is. It's majorly different because I didn't know about like marking your disc and foot faults and all the terminology, Anheuser, Heiser, and all I knew for the longest time was just a forehand. And I mean, I'm starting to now finally introduce the backhand, but just to, even the professionals, like watching them on TV and stuff, you're like, how do you even throw a disc like 300 feet in the air and let it go 200 feet forward and whatnot? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool way of experiencing it. And similar to you, it's the opposite, of course, but I kind of went all backhand and now I'm trying to incorporate the forehand a little bit. So kind of the opposite there. But yeah, it's always such a cool thing to keep learning. So as far as kind of experiencing the professional side of things, have you been paying attention to the pros for a while and like watching filmed disc golf? Has that been a big part of your disc golf experience and journey?
And I just joined that, and then a guy was asking if I could be his doubles partner to try to qualify for USDGC, and I was like, sure. Like, what do I have to do? Got a PDGA number, and then they're like, oh, there's pros. So I started YouTubing, and almost from that time on, whatever tournament was on at that point, I think Disc Golf Network wasn't quite a huge thing. Like there wasn't, you had to pay to watch. There's a lot of Jomez Pro and a few other lesser known YouTube channels. But yeah, like people like Ricky Wysocki, Paul Macbeth, like I was drawn to them. And then, the Robinson brothers came shortly after that. And yeah, I was definitely like hooked and like, holy cow. Like I didn't even know you could throw that far. I didn't know you could make a disc do the things that they made it, can make it do. And just in awe of that it was a professional sport and that some of these players were getting as big of contracts as they were. to throw a frisbee. So I
Yeah,
was like, man, if I would have known about this, when I first started,
right.
I could be rich by now. But
Yeah. I was like, I had a bit of a scholarship for playing soccer. It wasn't a lot, but I
yeah,
had like a JV scholarship to sit the bench. And like 5 years later, I'm like, man, if I had been playing disc golf instead, oh man, I could be up there a little bit higher in the scene.
exactly,
But
exactly.
yeah. So besides me, who is your favorite disc golfer?
Definitely you. I mean, you already threw that out there, so I can't say.
Yeah, besides me, obviously.
Yeah. I would say um, I really like Ricky Wysocki. And the reason is because he probably has one of the, as far as I consider, one of the most well-rounded um, attributes. Like he can scramble good, he can throw forehand, he can throw backhand, he can throw rollers when he needs to, and like his putting is just insane. And I know some people think he's kind of cocky and whatnot, but I enjoy watching his like personality come out, especially when he started doing the practice rounds, just going through his head why he's throwing what he's throwing, what he's trying to accomplish on each hole, what he's thinking about, the mental side, and he's just well-rounded. So I would say Ricky Wysocki is probably one of my top players to watch.
That's a great choice. His game is next level, and he's always been right there behind Paul Macbeth, just the whole time. Obviously, Paul has just dominated in worlds and majors like crazy, but Ricky has taken his fair share. That's
Yeah,
for sure. That's a good choice.
amen.
So I see a great question that I think is relevant for you. Skinny River says, my 9-year-old wants to play. When he throws, it just goes short left. It's just a stable putter. Any tips for young kids to get a straight flight? So I'll go ahead and lob that one over to you real quick, since you
Yeah,
have a
sure.
couple of kids playing.
I do. I do. I have a 7-year-old, and I have a 5-year-old, both boys, and then I have a 2.5-year-old. So the 7-year-old and the 5-year-old have been playing for about 3 years now. 7-year-old can pretty consistently on backhand throw probably like 225 maybe. Gets a pretty good snap, but I would recommend. I'm a pretty much all prodigy, but Brad might be able to tell you some um, other brands to throw out there. But I think for me, these are PA5s. It's an understable putter. I think the flight numbers are like three. Let me see, one of these has it on, I think. 3, 4, -2.5. And even for me, like I don't throw backhand much, but I love this because I can throw it flat and it'll go straight and then it'll just slowly glide for a 9-year-old arm. I would say that it would go relatively straight and maybe dump a little bit, but it's not going to have that straight dump into the ground. So I would say start out with those more understable putters and an understable mid range, both on backhand and forehand, and just go into a field and practice those. Or if you have like a local pitch and putt course, like we have a couple local to us, go to those because those are good not only for the distance that they might be able to achieve right now, but also I found with my boys like confidence. Like I've taken them to the long courses a long time, but the big thing was once I started taking them to the shorter courses, they kind of built up on confidence that they were getting the disc closer to the basket and getting birdies. So that would be my advice for your 9-year-old. Start off with the slower speed discs, and then as they start to learn how to throw, um, give them a little bit more like straight discs. But I would keep away for now of the more like overstable putters.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And the PA5, I would say, has similarities to maybe like a paradox almost, although a paradox is probably even flippier. Maybe a soul of a mid. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of nicely understable, slow speed discs that you can kind of pick from, depending on what company you're looking for.
I
But
agree.
yeah, I think that's really great advice.
Thank you.
Let's see. Let's move on to question that I'm very interested to hear your answer. And I sent this one to you ahead of time, so hopefully you have a story.
Yes.
But what's the craziest disc golf thing that you've experienced? Like, do you have any wild disc golf stories? Something that you did, something you
Uh,
experienced that someone else did?
yeah, so I'll start off with my very first round was in Minnesota. And so my mom has had an artificial leg most of her life, so she couldn't walk the course. But I was playing with my sister and my brother-in-law. You know, they gave me a DX Beast, a DX Wolf, no, Coyote, DX Coyote, and I had a Lightning #2 putter. Those were my first 3 discs. And so we get to this hole that my mom can see from the parking lot. And my sister's like, "Hey, mom, watch me throw." So she goes to throw, and I'm standing like almost behind her. And she grip locks it to the extreme and probably comes like inches away from taking my head off. I'm like, you just taught me this sport. You thought I'd like it, and now you're trying to take me out. I see how it is. So that was pretty funny. And for a while, I gave her a hard time. And then actually, I just thought of another one with my brother-in-law and my sister. They were living in Wisconsin now at the time, and we checked out this course, and it was starting to get a little bit darker, you know, towards sunset. Not quite dark though. And my brother-in-law threw this disc, and it looked like it almost went in. We heard it hit chains, but it chained out. And all of a sudden, this owl flew probably 3 feet over our head, 3 to 5 feet over our heads, and you could just hear like the wingspan of it. So we're like, okay, that was pretty cool. Like, it's time to go. So we're driving home, and we're like, man, you know, like at least, you know, a animal or a turkey or something doesn't run out in front of us. And 2 seconds later, a turkey comes running across the road right in front of the vehicle. And we're like, well, I guess it's a good thing you didn't say a moose or something, you know, bigger that could have done more damage. And then probably one of the cooler things that I can remember, we had a Toys for Tots fundraiser tournament at my local course here in Myrtle Beach, Splinter City. And it was all blues, which is the shorts, tee pads. And it was a Super Cali 2 round tournament. So you got to be your own double partner until you got the disc in the basket. And I just remember, like, I never put in for CTP usually, and I don't ever pay in for an ace pot. And I was like, you know what? It's for a good cause. Like, let me put in for CTP and aces. So we're going, and you know, I was actually probably one of the better rounds in me putting, and didn't have to use player B too much. I was actually like putting pretty good from distance, close range, whatever. And so we step up to our last hole, and it's hole 17 at my local course. And so this one, you have like 2 trees, probably maybe 40, 50 feet off the tee box. You can either go forehand up the left gap, or you can go backhand up the right, and there's like weeds and stuff on the right. So, you know, I'm a dominant forehand player. So I was throwing a lot of Discraft at the time. So I had a Captain's Raptor in my bag, and it was the last hole. I was Bob, I was back of the box, and I was thinking in my head, you know, if I ace this right here, because the guy that just went was in birdie position, if I ace this, we'll go into a tie for second place. So I, you know, put some snap on it. It's going, and the guy I think that I was going to tie, like, is like, that's going in, and it hit the ground and just shot straight into the basket for a walk-off ace on our last hole. And I just remember walking to the parking lot, and one of the more like arrogant guys in our, you know, we always have that one guy that always thinks like, yeah, I'm the best. So we're walking to the parking lot, and he's like, yeah, I think I got the CTP on 17. And I was like, I don't know about that. And he's like, man, I was like this close to the basket or the pin. And I was like, yeah, well, my shot went in. So, so it was pretty awesome. And, you know, it was probably one of my favorite tournaments to play, knowing that we were raising money for kids that might not get toys for Christmas. And just great memories. I think I walked away with like $200 to $250 in CTPs from the ace, and I think I got like 2 other ones, and I got like a $225 ace cash pot as well. So that was very memorable. But that was probably one of my favorite memories.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cosmic justice right there. Taking that ace, taking that CTP away from that guy.
Yeah. It's just hilarious.
Poetic.
Just the look on his face was like, oh, like I thought I had it. It's like,
thought I had it, but it got ace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple people said that the audio is a little bit maybe cutting in and out a tiny bit. Can you disconnect and reconnect your earbuds real quick and see if that helps it? And I'll just talk for a second until you've got that set again. So we'll see if we get this rolling with a little bit better audio for you guys. Hopefully for most of you the audio is all good, but we'll see. So Duja ended up middle of the pack in the Glitch Champs qualifier, just not used the discs, but got a sweet gain and cloud breaker out of it. Not bad, dude. Yeah, that stuff when you're throwing just a couple of one speeds that you just don't like throw all the time. But I'm happy for you. Glad that you were able to experience it. But yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer to just finish middle of the pack. I'm happy for you. Could be the earbuds, yeah. All right, I hear you. I hear you again, Bryant.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you and see you. All right, guys. Hopefully this is fixing some audio. And if not, I'll just say it. I think it's YouTube. Like, I don't think that they really did a great job optimizing this feature. So if I do more interviews in the future, I might have to like go through OBS Studio and try to do like a Zoom call, screen share, or something. I don't know. But
I could attempt, like, if this still doesn't work, I'll attempt to take out the earbuds and try it with that, because I have like you live on my computer, but I can mute that and see if I can hear you, and if it doesn't interfere. If you talk, someone can't.
Yeah, we give that a try. We'll see. But yeah, those are some pretty crazy stories. I obviously, could probably give a few crazy stories too. One of the wildest moments for me was when a guy threw on our card in a doubles fundraiser, hit somebody on our card, and within 10 seconds was swearing at us because we weren't like okay with it. Because he was like, sorry, and we were like, dude, there's like 6 of us, like what's going on? And he was just like middle finger F-bombs within 10 seconds. It was just the wildest, like, you just chucked a disc and hit someone and you're mad at them for being hit. Like, just brain dead moments. Just blew me away. That was really funny. Okay, so it sounds like they're hearing everything okay, but when we both talk, it'll really cancel each other out. So that's okay. I think we can really kind of prioritize like listening and waiting for the other person to talk. So that'll be fine. So yeah, next question, Bryant. What is the furthest that you have ever thrown? Curious.
Honestly, I'm not a super distance guy, but I would say probably around 350, and it was a forehand. I am learning though, like I'm starting to get a little more confidence with the backhand, so I think it might surpass the forehand. I know a lot of people say that backhand can get more distance with, it's easier to throw the flippier disc, get them to flip up, turn, and then crash. But this particular throw that I'm thinking of happened in 2022 Amateur Worlds, which was in Indiana at the time, and the course we were playing had probably like a 325-foot water carry. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to make it across. And I just remember taking a Nuke SS, putting it like on a decent amount of hyzer, and that thing like flipping up, going flat, turning. And I was like, oh, come on, come back. And it cleared it probably by like 10 feet. And I was like, yes, I can get across water. But that, as far as I consider myself more of an accurate player, and like it's taken a while, but a mentally smart player as far as hitting my landing zones and trying to not have too much red on my card.
Yeah, that's good for being an accurate and consistent player to smash a 350 forehand is pretty great. I mean, I think that you'll definitely outpace that distance with the backhand at some point once it gets to the point where it's natural. But yeah, I'm jealous of 350 forehand. That's crazy. That's crazy.
One day you'll get there.
We'll see. We'll see. I might need a coaching session from Sullivan
Yeah.
Tipton, but maybe one day. So, what's your favorite disc? I'll show you mine real quick here. What's a? Oh, look, it's this one.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Got this. Yep, Bryant Boss stamped FX2. Super cool.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You froze for a second, sorry. This is mine. It's a Prodigy D2 Max. It's been in my bag the longest, so I think it was about three or 4 years ago. I bagged all Prodigy, and then I went away from it a little bit, and then I came back. But this disc, I gave it to my buddy Jeff, and thank goodness he held it on because then he traded it back to me, and I actually had it signed by Ezra Robinson when he was in town for the Myrtle Beach Open, and I think it makes it fly a little further, honestly. After he signed it, there's got to be some kind of science to that, right? We might have to do some kind of research on that, but yeah, I would say it's Prodigy D2 Max, just because it's the oldest disc in my bag, and anytime I need a reliable flight, I have started backhand a little bit, but it's more my forehand. I can get it to flip up, turn, but for the most part, it still dumps at the end.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, it looks like a pretty well used disc, but still in great condition. And I agree, you get a pro to sign a disc and it flies better. I think if you get like 15 signatures, they start to contradict each other. So you got to be careful throwing like a multi sign disc. But one or two signatures and it flies really well.
Yeah.
So we briefly brought it up a few minutes ago when you answered the question for how to kind of help someone younger, a child, start learning how to throw disc golf. But do you mind telling us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. Like I said, so my wife and I got married in October 2016, and probably about a month or not even later, we found out we were expecting our first son. His name's Gabriel. He will be 8 years old in August. And then I have another son, Isaiah. He will be 6 years old in November. And then Kirsten she'll be 3 in November. And it's pretty big news. We haven't announced it to too many people yet, but baby number 4 is on the way. So.
All right, exclusive scoop. That's really cool. Congrats.
Thank you. It was pretty exciting. Most of them we weren't trying, but God always has other plans. So with this one, my wife, like the week or two before we found out that we were expecting, she ended up hearing in church like the name of a baby. And she's like, okay, yeah, cool. Like when we have our next one, like that'll be perfect. And then like a week later, it's like, oh, by the way, we're expecting. I was like, well, already then. Here we go. Beginning of December is when the due date is. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And Steven says congratulations. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
really,
Stephen.
really cool.
But yeah,
That's
so
really cool.
baby number 4. My Instagram, my YouTube channel. I don't know if I have it on Facebook, but it's Disc Golf Daddy, and that's why, because when I started playing disc golf back in 2020, I've been a stay-at-home dad for the most part since 2019. I think it was shortly before my second son was born. Been a lot of ups and downs. Like I can definitely have the empathy for all those stay-at-home moms or even parents. It's not as heard of with a dad being a stay-at-home dad, but you kind of go crazy at times because it's you and kids that don't think the same as you. They're not mature enough, and it's up to me to help them survive, eat, change their diapers, keep them alive. It's tough work, but yeah, it's been a lot of blessings. My wife's always been supportive of me being a stay-at-home dad, and I've been supporting her as a chiropractor. But Disc Golf Daddy originated because they would always initially just go with me, and then they started, just throwing discs, not very far, and then they got a bunch of mini discs, which usually, for those of you who might be new on his channel, are to mark the discs. But we have a basket that's smaller than this one in our backyard. It's actually, it's right there. Small one right there. And they only have one left because a bunch of them went on the roof. So I'll have to go up on the roof and get them all down. Either the wind took it or they grip locked it or, something came up. They learn young that it's not the actual thrower's fault. It's the disc fault. But they started just throwing those. And then I would take them out and they'd only get 1 or 2 discs. And now they actually have their own bags and they get to come with and bring, I usually have them bring about 10 discs out, and started playing in their first tournaments last December. And they have a junior specific tournament coming up here in a couple of weeks. So they're pretty excited for that. And just watching them grow has been a huge blessing. Like, they're going to be throwing further than me before I know it. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the right attitude to have to train someone, especially a child, to be better than you at something. Like, that's amazing. And yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, taking care of a bunch of kids. And I'm not a parent, but just as a youth pastor and summer camp counselor, a few days in a row taking care of a bunch of kids is a lot, let alone, as a full-time life.
For
So
sure.
a lot of respect for that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yep. Also, Steven says, sick shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. One of my sponsors is Salty Unicorn Disc Golf, and they have all kinds of crazy shirts like that. My wife says it's my 4th of July one, but it's close enough for Memorial Day weekend, right? It's got, American colors and stuff on it. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of overlap there. It's the perfect choice. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. And since you brought up sponsorships and Salty Unicorn, do you want to shout out any sponsorships that you do have, including how your Prodigy sponsorship came
Yeah.
about? Because you said you used to throw a lot of Prodigy, and now, after throwing Discraft and other things, now you're Prodigy again.
Yeah. So it was, with Prodigy, like I said, I met a guy in Myrtle Beach that was one of the few that threw Prodigy in the area. And so I started being drawn towards Prodigy. Wasn't really sure why, but I was like, oh, I really like the feel of the plastic. I'm confident with it. But I think I let the ways of the world get in the way. Like, so many people were hating on Prodigy. I think Chris Dickerson and Katrina Allen both left Prodigy. And it was like, well, everyone else doesn't want to do Prodigy. So I ran into my buddy Jeff. I want to say this was in the spring of 2023. And he's like, oh, I have all Discraft. Let me trade you for all your Prodigy. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So we flip-flopped. And the hard part for me was I had applied to the street team to get on Prodigy, probably 3 or 4 times, and I never got a response back. So he was throwing Prodigy for 2 weeks, and almost immediately he got a email back oh yeah, welcome to the team. And it was so that was kind of a slap in the face. But I think, looking back now, I realized that it was God's plan for me to be patient and let him work the course as far as the path goes of being on Prodigy. So I went from Prodigy to Discraft for probably the better part of a year, and then a mixed bag. And then in August of last year, I joined Team Lone Star, and I got my 2nd win ever. So I was like, all right, things are great. But then after that win and after the Myrtle Beach Open in November, my game just plummeted. And I was like, what's going on here? So then fast forward to January, we had the Eagles Wings conference, and leading up to that, I just felt like the Lord was telling me, like, there's going to be clarity there. There's going to be, you're going to meet connections, and there's one more C. I think you're going to have confidence, who I made you to be. And so I ran into Elijah Bickle, who is a prodigy player, pro prodigy player, Lance Brown, and a few others that were thrown prodigy. And I just felt drawn to them, but not only them, to the company that they represented. I think Will Schusterick, who's also a Christian, just took over the company as CEO. And I just felt like the Lord was like, I want you back with prodigy. And, I told my wife, like, oh yeah, I'm going to take my time. Like, it's not going to be a quick thing. And, usually I get anxiety when I'm flip-flopping discs, trading discs, switching companies. But this was like the most peace I have ever heard in my life. And the guy that, is my sponsor for Salty Unicorn, he's like, oh, sell the ones you have now to Lone Star people, and I'll give you a great deal on new shirts with whatever sponsors you want on them. I traded, I think, like a 20 for 20 disc swap with a guy who had a bunch of prodigy. One of the bigger blessings was a guy I never met before. He sent me like 50 prodigy discs, brand new Apex bag, like 3 prodigy shirts, and a bunch of other stuff, all for free, which blew me away. And it was just like the easiest transition I've ever made. Had so much peace about it. So I applied for prodigy. Within a week, I found out that I was on the team, and it's been a great blessing to represent them on and off the course. Let's see. I'm part of Team Focus, which is in the Carolinas. Have you heard of Team Focus with like Aaron Winters and a few of the other people in Charlotte?
I have not, actually.
Okay, so there's a guy here that plays a lot. His name's Bone. His real name's Michael, but he used to be a boxer, so he used to be called Bone Crusher, but he goes by Bone now. He actually started it about 5 or 6 years ago, and basically, our goal is to make everyone feel welcome and loved in the community, and do kind of low-cost events so that people can afford to do it and not feel obligated to have to spend a whole bunch of money on a tournament. And he puts on a lot of clinics and different things like that. So that was one of my first sponsorships. And then my wife, Move Mountains Chiropractic, is one of my sponsors. And I think that's it. That's about all I have to shout out.
Yeah, well, hey, that's a really cool little story arc there with getting things figured out and maybe, doing what seems right in the moment, but realizing that God has a plan for you eventually that'll come to be. That's a really cool way of looking at it. I appreciate that perspective. And I think it's wise to balance, Prodigy did have some issues. So it wasn't like, stupid for you to be like, I'm not so sure about it. But I think they're headed in a great direction. I think this is a great time to be part of Prodigy. So that's really, really cool. I'm excited for you.
Appreciate it.
We got a couple little questions here. I don't know if you'll be ready for this one. Dujit says, opinion on the proxy. Have you thrown the proxy?
I have not thrown a proxy, so
Okay.
Brad might be able to answer that for you. Have you thrown a proxy before, Brad?
No, I have not. And Dujit gets on my case for it. So yeah, one of us has to throw a proxy at some point.
One day, if I ever get around someone who has a proxy, I'm going to throw it, and then I'll comment on one of Brad's lives what I think of the proxy.
Perfect. I'll definitely see the comment, and I will, if Dujit's not there, I'll make sure that he knows what you think of it.
Perfect. We got you covered.
We got this. We also have Erwin jumping in here. He calls me Chuck Norris or Norris Chuck, which is my preference. How's it going, Erwin? Thanks for hopping on and joining us. Doc is here. Awesome. Dude just says you need to trust me best throwing putter for that proxy. Yeah. We'll have to give it a try at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I like how you already mentioned you're getting your second win and then kind of having a stretch without, taking a win for a while. And I mean, I did my research. I looked up your tournaments. I looked up your wins. Can you tell us a little bit about your most recent win? Because that seemed to be a very exciting victory for you.
Yeah. So the most recent win came about what was it, a month and a half or so ago, I think. I felt like God back in December was calling me to MPO, and I was like, MPO, like I'm not good enough. My rating is 920. I can't throw far. My putting is definitely not consistent enough, but okay, if that's what you want me to do. So I jumped up to MPO, played about 6 or 7 tournaments. And man, you talk about wanting to quit, wanting to give up, wanting to be like, did I hear you wrong? Like, am I losing my mind? Like, just every tournament, I would either finish last or I'd finish tied for last. It was like, all right, I need this 20-footer, and then I finish second to last, and it'd be like perfect putt, it'd be a spit out. But then after I played the tournament like a week or two before this particular one, felt like God was like, all right, I want you, you're like, you can go back down to amateur. So I went down to MA1. And as I was saying before, we have a course locally that's called the Boneyard, and named after the guy Bone I was telling you about that is in charge of Team Focus. It's a very short course. I would say the longest hole is 220, but it's very technical. It's got a lot of OB, a lot of Mandos. You got to play smart. And it was only a 1-round tournament. He likes to run those on the weekend so that people still have time with their family. And I remember it was my 2 boys on the card, me and my buddy Carlos. And I felt like the boys were playing pretty good. And sometimes I'm like, guys, like you need to let Carlos play. Like it's okay if you're messing me up. But Carlos was like, oh, I have two girls the same age, so it's okay. And I just remember getting to hole 16, and I'm like, there's no way. There's like, it doesn't matter if I look at my score because I'm not going to be up there. I was only 5 down, which usually to win these, you have to be at like double digits, 11, 12 down to win. And I was tied for first place with Carlos on my card. And, it's always hard. You're like, do I keep this to myself? Do I tell him? Like a lot of people don't like to know their score, don't like to be told that. So I was like, well, I'll just, keep it to myself. So I ended up parking hole 16. He ended up bogeying. So I was 1 up. Then the next hole I end up parring. He ends up birdieing. So we're tied. So we go to hole 18, and this is, I think it's like a 220-foot shot, tight window, out of OB on the right, over a fence, and they had just elevated this basket to be like 10 feet, 8 feet in the air, or something like that. And so I see Carlos. He hasn't looked at the scores yet, and I still was like, do I tell him? Do I not tell him? So he throws for an ace run, thinking that's the only way that he can get in, to first place or even to finish in the podium, top 3. And he misses, it rolls out of bounds. So I actually parked the hole, which would have let me win outright. I putt, and like I said, it's elevated, so I'm like putting like straight up in the air. And it kind of sits there for a second. It lands on the basket, and it flops out. And I'm like, there was the outright win. So a guy on another card ends up birdieing the last 2 holes, and we end up tying. So funny thing is, we got to choose where we started the playoffs. So we're like, well, 9's here, 1's way over there. Let's just start on 9. But I just had free pizza, and of course I ate it with my dominant hand, but didn't have time to wipe off the oil. But I flip, I get to go first. So I put it inside the circle, 25-foot putt. And I putted, and I was like, ooh, that's not going in. It hits the top and elevators down to the basket. Both tie the first hole. Second hole, we both park. Third hole, we both miss like 30, 35-foot putts to win it. Fourth hole, I had to rewind back a little bit. I had 2 good putts that entire round. We started on hole 1. I had made like a 50-footer for birdie, and then there was a hole that was an island hole, and I had to go to the drop zone, and I made like a 40-footer to save par on that hole. Hadn't made a putt the rest of the match or the rest of the round. So I get to hole 13 or 12, and I have to make like a 40-footer to go because his is parked. So I jammed that one home, and I remember my 5-year-old Isaiah being like, "Yeah, Daddy, that's my daddy," which, was awesome to have him there watching that. And go to the next hole, we both park it. Go to the next hole, and both of our drives, when there's like a ditch that's OB, both of our drives land on the other side of the OB, but neither one of us has a good putt. So I'm out, so it's my turn to go. And I had like a weird straddle putt where I just had to put a lot of spin on the putt, and dead center chains goes in. He steps up and it goes off the band. And so my first tournament back to MA1, I ended up walking away with the win. And it was pretty cool, like I said, to have my sons there, like cheering me on and believing in me. So that was pretty memorable.
That is such a cool story. That's so special, especially a multi-hole playoff. And like you said, with your sons there, like that's really, really cool. So what a blessing to experience that, dude. That's really awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
that is super, super cool. Welcome everybody for hopping in the chat. I appreciate the beard discussion going on. It actually seems like people who are in the chat right now prefer your beard to mine, but I am winning the vote at the moment. So it sounds like people came in and voted and left for me, but the
Bummer.
people who are actually here like your beard better. So it's a little bit of a split there, but that's pretty funny. Cloudbreaker kind of bombs. Good. Yeah. Dujit's Cloudbreaker goes pretty far. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Good. Let's see. I have a full list of questions here. So next one coming up. And maybe you just answered that, but what would you say that your biggest disc golf accomplishment is? Obviously, getting that win, dropping back to MA1 and winning in a playoff, like that's pretty amazing. But what would you say your biggest disc golf accomplishment is?
Let's see. I think I had a good one earlier that I was thinking about because you had sent me a few questions that you were going to ask. Give me a little bit of time to think about some things. I would say right now probably just seeing my sons and my daughter be interested, and even my wife. At first she was like, "Oh, I don't really like playing," but now that my sons are so into it, and even my daughter, like just watching them grow and watching other people, like when we step up and they see my 5-year-old, my 7-year-old, like chuck it down the fairway or make a good putt, and they're just like, "Dude, your kids can throw further than me. Like, what in the world?" Yeah, just believing in them and seeing them, because a little bit about my story, I never really had a father figure growing up. So to be here for them in every aspect and to believe in them and let them know, like, "Hey, I'm proud of you." I'd say that's probably my biggest disc golf accomplishment so far.
Wow, that's really amazing. I mean, that's better than like, making it on the pro tour, to have your kids be inspired to embrace the game and to be excelling in it. Like that's so special. That's really awesome. Yeah. That's a good choice of your best accomplishment. That's really awesome. So we talked a little bit about your family, and obviously we met at the Eagles Wings, the Eagles Wings conference, and both of us, our faith is very, very important as Christians, as believers. We want that to influence every part of our lives, whether it be our family or job or hobbies, activities like disc golf. So, would you care to talk a little bit about how your faith kind of impacts the way that you treat disc golf and your participation in the sport?
Yeah, I would love to. I would say every time I'm out on the disc golf course, I try to kind of read the room, read the card I'm on, kind of be that person of encouragement. I think that's, why God chose this as not only a passion of mine, but I would say, a ministry. I'm not exactly sure where that's headed still yet, but the pieces are slowly coming together. But I would say, some of the closest people I've ever met a lot of times aren't people, unfortunately, that I go to church with or that I've met in those areas of my life, but they're disc golfers that I've met in various tournaments. It's really cool friending them on Facebook or on social media. And, I don't know if you're the same way, but I don't feel like I make an impact or like people see me sometimes or, making the right decisions always. But I've had people reach out that I met like 5 years ago and be like, hey, man, I want you to let you know that you've really encouraged me over the years and you've really pushed me to want to do better and be a better person. I think people can see who we are. I think the Bible says like people will know who the Father is based on like something inside us, the light that's inside us, the love that's inside us. So a lot of times, obviously, with disc golf, there can be a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking of various things, a lot of cussing and whatnot. But like I don't feel offended by that. I'm real quick to be like, no, thank you. Like I appreciate you offering, but I'm good. And a lot of people can see that, and I've never felt judged based on that. Oh, this guy's a Christian. Like we can't be ourselves. I've always encouraged people to be themselves, so that I can get to know them better on a deeper level and help them grow as a disc golfer. Just some of the people, like I said, my buddy Jeff, who I traded discs with, like he's one of my closest friends, and he's always had my back, and I've always had his back. And there's so many people in the disc golf community that are like that, and to show others, like, hey, it's just a game. Like no matter if you win, if you lose. And I've been trying to teach my boys that too. Like they're real competitive, just like I am. And I think in MPO and in the pro division, that's kind of one thing that God wanted to break off of me. When we were at that Eagles Wings conference, we had opportunities to not only play singles events, but we also got to play, a triples event and like a college doubles 4-team event. And I remember the first day it was like, all right, like I hope I get a pro or like some great people that can throw really far on my card. And I remember walking up and I had like 2 guys that were in MA4, and I was like, oh man, like what is this? But I did end up winning a disc from Foundation Nation, Trevor Staub, because we got to make a social media post, and me and the 2 guys on my card came up with like holding one of our card mates over the trash can and being like, don't mind us. We're just looking for Trevor Staub's game somewhere in the trash can. And they thought it was hilarious. But so that was the first day. And then the 4-person team walked up to that, and I had a kid on my card. And I think I had like 2 older guys on the card as well. And, that's when I got the message of like, it's okay to be competitive, but that's not why I'm calling you out here. I'm calling you out here to encourage, to be that light, to make connections, to meet people, and, eventually maybe bring some people to Jesus down the road. So I would say it's a huge part of my disc golf journey.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And I mean, it was a blessing to meet you at the Eagles Wings conference. And I had the pleasure of seeing your winning social media post and being like, hey, I know that guy. Like we just played together, and I was happy for you to kind of win that prize. And I really appreciate how you said that you're not bringing judgment when you're playing with people. You're living if I'll paraphrase for you, living a godly life, but not demanding everyone, meet your perspective, your expectations of the world, but kind of being an alternative with focus on Christ. And I think that's such a a winsome way to treat people with true respect, but also demonstrating what it is like to be dedicated to something that's bigger than ourselves, that's bigger than our own pride and our own hopes, to place those in Christ. So I think that's really, really cool. We got, sorry, my earbuds are like falling out. We got Ellis in the chat here. Ellis is in the UK, and he asks, how far do your kids throw?
I would say Isaiah probably, he's pretty consistent with like 150. He's the 5-year-old, and then my older son Gabe, who's 7, both forehand and backhand, probably a little bit more, maybe like 200, 225, something like that. And actually, he's kind of like me. He likes to try different discs, and he was Lone Star because I was Lone Star. But once Isaac Robinson went to Latitude 64, he's kind of been switching over more to Trilogy. But one of his favorite discs to throw, which is funny to me, is a 14-speed Ballista Pro. And he can actually like throw that thing on hyzer and get it to go like 175 and get it to either skip or fade or like just watch. And I can get the snap all day long with the forehand. Like if I'm not getting that snap, I'm not throwing it with confidence, but he already is getting that snap with the backhand. It blows me away. And then some of the putts he makes blow me away as well. Like I've started to speed up our rounds a little bit. When we go to a course and there's no one else playing with us, we'll play a triples round with the 3 of us. And at my local course, Sockesty Breck Park, it's a more wooded course. The other day we shot as a team, I think 8 or 9 down. And he made like this ridiculous step putt outside the circle on like a elevated basket. And I was just like, you putt better than me. Like, yeah, 175 for Isaiah and probably 200 to 225 for Gabe are the distances.
And for 5 and 7 years old, I mean, I'm impressed. Like that's pretty great. That is pretty great. And I think you're right to say they won't be too long before they're pushing your skill level just with that amount of time and their natural growth. That's really exciting. Yeah. So we've been talking a little bit about our faith and our kind of point of view as Christians. And so if you don't mind sharing just a little bit more about kind of when that happened for you, a little bit of your testimony, when you're decided to place your faith in Christ and repent and make everything in your life about God.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to share that. So before I was born, my mother was actually in a pretty serious farm accident. I feel like looking back at it, I might not even been here today. So we lived on a farm, and it was a very snowy winter. We lived off a gravel road, and she got her leg caught in like a pig auger or some kind of farm equipment. She had always stepped over that, but this time something happened where her leg slipped into that. And she's told me the story before, like the roads would get plowed and she'd have to hurry up, get in her car, go to the grocery store and get back. By the time she got back, the road was already starting to fill up with snow and have like ice so bad that she couldn't drive on it. And so this particular day, the snowplow was just going by when he saw that something wasn't right. And this guy actually ended up being like a volunteer EMT. So he got there in time to like slow the bleeding down for an ambulance to get there and take my mom to the hospital. And when they got there, so this would have been in, I'm trying to think, like 1986, maybe something like that, 87. Back then, they didn't have all this blood on hand. They would have to have it like brought in from somewhere else. Well, there was supposed to be a guy that needed surgery, but something happened where he didn't need that surgery. So they had this specific blood for my mom to be able to bring her back to life. And I remember her telling me, like, the doctor was asking the nurse, like, "Hey, what's her pulse? What's her pulse?" And she's like, she doesn't have a pulse. And he's like, well, she has to because she's talking to us right now. So, you know, I think right then and there, like the enemy, Satan himself, was trying to take me out. And then fast forward a little bit to when I was 3 years old, I lost my father, my dad, my earthly father, to a tractor accident. I guess he was too close to the edge and it just kind of rolled over on top of him. But not only that, but both my mom's dad and my dad's dad passed away right around the same time. So I didn't really have any of those earthly father figures in my life. So I would say the spirit of fatherlessness came upon me around then. Because of this, I always struggled to trust men and allow men to come into my life and be that father figure. My brother was that for a while, but just like the past family line, like he became an alcoholic. And I think I could have headed in that direction too. But something kept me away. I always blamed God for taking away my earthly father and for the wounds caused by it. I was raised Catholic and felt religious. Going to church every week, singing songs, listening to priest's message, doing good works, and asking forgiveness. Then at that time, I felt like I was free to do, you know, whatever I wanted and just like kind of repeat, rinse and repeat, like do whatever you want, go back, repent, do whatever you want. My mom remarried when I was about 8 years old. So we moved from Iowa to Illinois, and things were going pretty good. But as a kid, I was pretty outgoing until about the 5th grade. And then something happened where I became pretty isolated. Became addicted to lustful things and struggled with that a lot. So that isolated me even more. And then I would say mental health was always a struggle for me. Anxiety, depression, just kind of that real quiet kid in school that kind of felt alone. And then fast forward to about 2014, I met my now wife in chiropractic school. I thought that's where God was calling me. It turns out it's a very expensive way to meet your wife. You know, if you don't actually go through with getting your license. Like I graduated as a chiropractor, but I never ended up going back to get my license. But in 2016, we got married and we started attending a church that, you know, is way different than the Catholic church. Like it wasn't Catholic aerobics where you're kneeling, you're sitting, you're standing, you're kneeling, you're sitting, you're standing. But people were raising their hands. There was a lot of crying going on. There was a lot of amens. And I was like, you know, what is this? I don't know what this is, but for whatever reason, I feel drawn to it. And we had just found out that, you know, my son was going to be born. We were living in Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania at the time. And so I joined this small group, and it was called Life Group, which stood for Living in Freedom Every Day. So we're going through the group, and the opportunity came up for us to get water baptized. And, you know, I was like, well, I was baptized as a kid, but I learned that biblically, that's not accurate. You know, nowhere in the Bible does it say, as a baby, you must get baptized, or you should get baptized. But instead, it's your decision to give your life to Christ. So in March of 2016 is when I officially gave my life to Christ. Shortly after that, I got baptized in the Holy Spirit, which is a whole bigger thing that we don't need to go into right now. If anyone has any questions, feel free, but we don't have to go into that right now. Now, just because I gave my life to Christ does not mean, you know, I'm perfect. I have everything figured out. No more issues. It actually sometimes means the opposite. You know, Jesus said we will be persecuted. So I think I can't remember if I told you this or not in the past, but about a year ago before the Eagles Wings conference, I was set. I thought I had life figured out. I thought, you know, God was calling me to be an EMT firefighter for my local county, Horry County Fire and Rescue here in Myrtle Beach area. Well, when I went to go on the EMT ride times, like I told you, I've always had anxiety, depression, worry, and I felt it worse than I'd ever felt it before. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I reached out to one of our captain in charge of like helping, the community out. And he's like, oh, we got this program down in Florida, in Deerfield Beach, Florida, that we send EMTs and first responders. And you'll go down there, you'll go through some treatment, which meant small groups, individual work. We got to play sand volleyball a lot, eat meals together. And I just remember like, I talked to my wife. She's like, go, like, we want the guy that I married back. So went down there and they didn't tell me, which I understand now why they didn't tell me. But the first night there, you're like, is this the right place? Because you're put in like a detox area. Some people come in with, some drugs, alcohol, whatnot. And so I was over there for 3 days and then went across the street. And through the process, I just felt like layers of past trauma, past struggles, past, hate towards myself were kind of broken off. And I felt like I had gotten away from God's voice, even, something as simple as Prodigy Disc. I got away from his voice and was trying to do things my way. Well, when I was down in Florida, I felt him specifically tell me, like, I was leading these people that I just met. Like, it's not in my nature usually to stand up in front of 30 or 40 people that I just met and encourage them and pray for them and love on them. But I saw myself doing that, and I felt specifically the Lord's voice say, like, I want you in leadership, but it's not as an EMT first responder. But, the stubbornness, the pride, the ego is still there. So I told my wife the first part, but didn't tell her really. I told her the second part, but it was kind of like, I'm going to push through. Everything's going to be all right. Well, I get back from that after 6 weeks of being away with my wife and kids, and ends up that the anxiety comes back almost like twice as much. Had some pretty dark thoughts, and I was like, I don't know what to do here. So they pulled me out and ended up having to resign. And I was kind of wrecked, wasn't sure what to do. And then I started playing disc golf again, and I just felt like I was in the right area again. I felt that peace and that joy for the sport. And then when Eagles Wings was coming around, like I told you in the beginning, like I just felt like God was saying there's going to be connections, there's going to be clarity on where I want you. And I met people like you, professionals who really talk about their faith, like Silas Schultz and Joel Freeman and Isaac and Ezra weren't there, but other people like that are part of Eagles Wings. And it just was so cool to see all of us not only love disc golf, playing glow disc golf, playing different games together, board games together, but also all of us were there, worshiping our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I think that was huge. And then shortly after coming back, you supported me and others supported me in buying discs that I felt like God had. Like this one, if I can find it here. It's pretty fitting for today. Flag stamped PA3. I felt like God wanted me to put my logo on some discs and start doing disc golf ministry. And I've off and on, I plan to do it more consistently, but on Fridays I do right now what I'm calling Iron Sharpen Iron rounds, and we'll just do a devotional study together of maybe 10 verses in the Bible, and we'll pray together and we'll talk over it, and then we'll go out and play a fun round. And man, let me tell you, some of these rounds were not only believers and non-believers, but we've had the most laughs, where we've felt the most peace, where we've seen some really cool shots. And I actually came up with a new game. Well, we can get into that later, but yeah, just that's in 2016 is when I gave my life to Christ, but it's not like I'm finished, I'm good there. We're never going to be perfect, and Jesus is the only one that is, but we must continually every single day get a little better than we were yesterday and show others hey, you're not alone in this lost world. reach out to others, love on them, and get better every single day.
Yeah, and I think that's a great perspective about, our testimony. Yes, there's that moment where placing faith in Christ changes everything, but that doesn't mean that you're done. And I appreciate you saying that, because it seems clear to me that even just in the short time that I've known you, that God's working in your life, with the people that you're getting to know, and crossing into my life as well, and with your family, and with disc golf. It really seems like it's pretty clear that he has things in store for you, and you're headed in the direction that he's kind of pressing you toward. And that's really, really cool to see. And man, hearing about your mom, I had not heard that, or at least I don't remember any of that. Like that kind of gave me chills a little bit, hearing how unlikely it was that she would survive that accident, with the exact timing of someone who's trained to save her life driving by. Like that's amazing. So thank you for sharing all of that. That's really, really incredible. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
of course.
Yeah. So I think that covers my next question, which is about how your faith impacts your involvement in the sport. And I think that both of us, I think we both care a lot that, yes, we want to play good disc golf and do a good job as we play, but it's not everything. It's not the most important thing to succeed. The most important thing is to glorify Christ and to have that community and to build, that impact on others for God, in our experience of the sport. So that it's really cool to hear about. And I saw, that you started the Iron Sharpens Iron, and it's been nice to see that going in the last couple of months as well.
Appreciate it.
Here, I got a couple of questions here, just real quick. Actually, we got a bunch of American flags after your stamped disc. That was pretty cool. And we do have his name is The Dead Fly on Your Windowsill is the name of the account. And he says, not a Christian, don't believe in God, but thankful for my life, which I think is good. Yeah, to be grateful is a very valuable thing.
Oh, yeah.
And says,
sure.
are you willing to talk about my life without religion? I'd like to say I'm trying my best, but maybe I don't want to live in heaven. And, I think that's a great question. My perspective is you want to go where the truth is. So if you look into it, if you do some investigating, um, learn about philosophy, learn about let me just say, the origins of the universe. And if you get to the point where you believe, like I do, that there's no way that something came from nothing, that physical matter appeared out of nowhere, you get to the point where you believe that something or someone had to start everything, and something that's greater than the physical universe that we live in, something that is powerful enough to create time, space, and matter, and be transcendent and above time, space, and matter. So that's kind of my personal perspective, is you need to go where the truth lies. And as I've pursued that in my life, it's always taking me toward Christianity. So that's just, giving my point of view and perspective on that. There's no shame. I'm not, attacking, another position, but that's truly how I see the world, and what I believe. But great questions, and appreciate you sharing your perspective as well. So let's hop on. Oh, Zach's here. Hey, Zach. Ellis says, can we get Brian's Instagram or YouTube handles? I think you mentioned it, but go ahead and shout that out again.
Yeah, sure. It's Disc Golf Daddy. That's DiscGolfDaddy. It would have been with two D's, but that one was already taken, so I had to I had to add one more D to it. But I appreciate it if you guys would feel free to follow me and subscribe to both YouTube and Instagram. I appreciate it.
I think I typed that in there correctly with 3Ds.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
So I
perfect.
typed that in for you into the
Appreciate it.
chat. Nice. Doc says, go where the truth is. So dynamic discs. Sorry, I'll see myself out. That's good. That's good. So what would you say is one of your favorite Bible verses or Bible passages or your life verse? Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I would say I wrote it down because sometimes I don't always remember the verses right, but Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6. I always come back to that. It's trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. I think to me that it just simplifies like your relationship with Jesus. Like if we trust him with everything inside of us and we don't lean on our own understanding, our own knowledge, what we learn on this earth, a lot of times we think knowledge is power, but sometimes it's almost a hindrance. And then in all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. Like for me, anytime I've gotten away from following his voice, from following his lead on things, that's when you got like, roller coaster of a ride of a path instead of if you acknowledge me and you know that I'm there and you trust me and you speak to me and even just like we mentioned before, thankful for your life, even just saying thank you for the food on my plate, thank you for waking me up this morning, thank you for the people you place in my life. Like he promises that he will make our path straight. I think I've made the mistake before to overanalyze or overcomplicate Christianity, but really like the simpler we keep it, the relationship that the Lord wants to have with us, the easier it is for us to live our lives according to how he wants us to live them.
Yeah. And I would say that hearing that verse, was no surprise. Actually, when you said Proverbs, I was like, okay, so he's going, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And it's just like it immediately struck me that that seems exactly right for the way that you've described, your disc golf journey, even in particular. It's seems like it's all been about listening to where God is taking you and where he's leading you. And when you find yourself doing that, you can see that it's that his plan is greater than the way that we might have seen things ourselves. And that's kind of tough because we like to think that we know what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Doc says, as a disc golfer, Genesis 2:15 is mine, where Adam is supposed to be a caretaker of the world. And I feel disc golfers, especially kind of more recently, do try to caretake the land. And I think that there is a lot of value recently in how the disc golf community, particularly people putting in courses and advocating in local communities, are doing a good job of trying to build a standard of taking care of the course. You don't want to destroy things. You don't want to leave your trash everywhere, being responsible, as well as, appreciating the environmental impact that disc golf courses tend to have, which is very minimal. You don't have to destroy a forest. You actually want the trees there. You want to be right up with nature, throwing across the water and between the trees. And I think there is something beautiful about that, that it's a very like it's disc golf is, excuse me, like a good disc golf course relies on good nature. There's that beautiful synergy there, and it allows more of an appreciation of the world that God created to just enjoy yourself in nature. So I think that's a really good choice as well, Doc. Good shout out for that. Doc also says, did you have to fight Emerson Keith for the disc golf daddy name?
Actually, it was somebody I can't remember if they were in Michigan or something. It was kind of funny. I don't know if you've ever heard of Wild Discs brand before. They were around for a little bit, and I think it was a husband and wife, and they kind of like got caught up in life and had to give up the company. But they like added me supposedly to a group chat, but they actually added the other guy. So like I was like, I'm not getting your messages. And then they added me, and this guy's like, why am I in this chat? Like I'm not even a part of Team Wild Disc. So I was like, oh, so you're the guy who who made me have to have an extra D in my my Instagram handle and my YouTube account. But you know,
They
and
brought
Doc,
you
I also,
together.
yeah, Doc, I also agree with caretakers. Like, I think that's something too I love about disc golf is just being out in God's creation. You know, the trees can be a hindrance for sure, but just seeing trees, seeing the beauty that God designed, the trees, the animals, listening to the birds, and you know, you really never know what you're going to come across. I don't know if you're having the issues in Charlotte, but here in Myrtle Beach, like it's been one of the worst years for copperhead snakes. I feel like every single day that I go on Facebook on our Myrtle Beach disc golf page, there's at least like 3 people like, there's a copperhead here, there's a copperhead here. And something pretty hilarious. Well, 2 things actually. So about a week ago, someone had posted, yeah, so we were on hole 11, which is hole 11 in Splinter City is pretty close to the ocean. And we saw a hawk carrying some kind of food over. We weren't sure. We were like, what is that? That's something huge. And 2 crows like started attacking it, so it dropped it. Well, it ended up being like a baby shark. So baby shark just lands on her course in the middle of hole 11. And then we do a match play in Myrtle Beach where there's about 32 of us, and we get randomly drawn and we face against each other in match play. So I'm waiting for my guy to show up, and I'm like, I'm looking over and I'm hearing like 4 or 5 different birds like squawking at each other. I'm like, what's going on over here? So I go over, and there is I thought it was a copperhead, but it ends up being a garter snake. But this garter snake was probably a good 3 or 4 feet long, and it's in the tree. And I'm like, what is going on? So the woodpecker's trying to peck it. I'm assuming the snake's trying to get after its eggs. So it was a woodpecker against this garter snake. And it sounded like there were blue jays and other birds like egging it on, like, yeah, get him, get him. So the snake drops out of the tree, and the woodpecker's still trying to like beat it up, and the snake tried to get away, and it followed it. And I'm like, well, goodness gracious, like what on earth is next coming to our disc golf courses?
That's a lot of wild nature. That's really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I saw those on Facebook as well. I think I saw the shark. I don't think that was you that posted that, but I did see about the snake that you posted that one, I think. Yeah, anyway, pretty cool. That's pretty wild. A couple of other good questions, and I have just one more question for Bryant. So if you guys have questions for him, now is the perfect time to make sure that you type those into the chat, and we'll get through a few of them as we wrap things up. But I have a couple of questions that we have to, well, I guess one question, and Doc leaving a few comments. Doc says, love Trash Panda and other companies for doing recycling. And Doc also says, deathly afraid of snakes. I have a walking stick with a picture of Brad on the end, hoping the snakes go for him first. Great. I hope that I protect you in that way. Ella says, in your religion, when something horrible happens in your life, what advice would you give someone when the things that happen feels completely unjustified? That's a great question. So I'll go ahead and start giving an answer. And Bryant, if you want to jump in as well, feel free to. But I would say that there's a couple of things going on here. Number one, ultimately, scripture promises that, let me see if I get the phrasing right. Um, God's plans for you are to bring about good in the end. So, Bryant, maybe you can, I'm just like blanking on the verse right now. But essentially, God promises that even through trials and tribulations and difficulty, things that feel unjustified, his plans are for your good. However, the good that God has planned for you does not always look like health, wealth, prosperity in this life. The good that God has for us might be a eternal, a spiritual good that he has for us. So it is important to remember that this physical life that we're living is very valuable, it's very important, but it's not everything. There's more going on than only the good or bad that we experience on a day-to-day basis. So going through something that feels unjustified is going to happen. And it's just important, I think, to remember that it is important that it's happening to you. It is, it's a big deal. It's not nothing, but ultimately, in view of eternity and spending life forever with God, it is kind of a small thing. Like it really does suck when you're in the moment, but it's not an all-consuming, negative experience. Bryant, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't remember if it was a message or a sermon I saw or what it was, but I remember someone asking, like, why do bad things happen to good people? And, ultimately, throughout the Bible, there's no such thing as a good person. In Christianity, in the Old Testament compared to the New Testament, like in the Old Testament, it was all about works. It was all about how much good you could do and check marks, like, all right, I memorized this part of the Bible. I did this, I did that. But the good news is in Christianity, that is why Jesus came, so that we could have ultimately a relationship with God our Father. I'm sorry, Ellis, that whatever you're going through or people are going through what they're going through. My advice would be, to seek, if you haven't read the Bible, try it out. It doesn't have to be about religion. It doesn't have to be about, people are always, anytime I bring up my faith, well, I'm not religious. Well, that's who I was. But when I gave my life to Christ, I realized it's not religion, it's a relationship. It's the one beautiful thing about Christianity. It's way different than any other religion out there. All the other ones, you have to do good things. You have to know the right people. You have to pray this many times a day. You have to memorize scripture. But the beautiful thing about Christianity is it's not religion, it's relationship. Like what draws me to Brad is that he has a relationship with Jesus. And, believe it or not, we can kind of tell for the most part who's a believer and who's not a believer. But the beauty of Christianity is relationship. Before Jesus came, you used to have to go to a person to forgive everyone's sins and whatnot. And now Jesus came, he rose, and now it's a beautiful thing. We have a relationship with our Creator. So again, I'm sorry you're going through that. If you want to have a deeper conversation or if you have any more questions particularly, please go ahead and put in the chat. Brad or I would love to break it down even more. I hope that clarifies a little bit the question you asked. I just felt like that's what kind of the Lord was speaking to me about your question.
Yeah, I think that's a really great answer, Bryant. Thank you. And a couple of things. First, I think this is my mom jumping in the chat, one of my parents, who said, are you thinking of the verse that says, all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose? That is what I was trying to think of and blanking in the moment. And the important thing, again, about that verse is that the good isn't necessarily what we think, is best for us, because God has better plans for us. And it also, shows it clarifies that it's those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So for those who are living an obedient life, God will bring about good for us. And I'll give a little bit of an example from my life. I don't even know that I've necessarily, I've probably only briefly mentioned it. But long story short, I was a youth pastor for a couple of years, and I ended up getting I don't know if I want to give every detail, but essentially, I was fired as a youth pastor, and it was actually made very clear that it was not because of anything that I had done. In fact, it was in spite of the fact that I hadn't done anything that I had to leave my job, and I loved my job. But if I had not left that job, I wouldn't be here right now. Doing disc golf, having the Birdietime channel, like it wouldn't exist if I had still been in that position. So to be honest, my life right now doesn't look like how I thought it would. It's nowhere close to where I saw my life 6 years ago. I'm not in the state that I thought I was going to be living in. I'm not spending my time how I thought I'd be spending my time. And I never foresaw like sitting down in front of my phone and talking to a group of people. Like that was just like, I never really had that plan for myself, yet here I am. And I have seen God doing amazing things in the last year that I never would have thought possible. That playing on a card with Paul Ulibarri, like that's wild. I never would have even dreamed that I would get to that point in my life. But God brought that about because because I was moving to Charlotte. And because I was moving to Charlotte, I played that tournament. So it's just like everything, it's amazing to see God doing things in ways that we don't expect. But if we're watching for it, we can see his blessings, despite things not going according to our plan. So that's kind of a roundabout answer, but life is complicated. Um, but looking to Christ for our answers and trusting him through the complicated is the best way, I think, to stay sane and to live a healthy, good life. We got a couple of great questions in here. So I'll go ahead and roll through a couple of those before we finish up the interview. So Dujit says, Bryant, how many shoes does Doc need in his bag? And that's the disc, the Yakun disc shoe, not actual shoes for your feet. And Dujit says, how many does it need and why is it 10?
You can never have enough.
So how?
Just
What was that?
I said you can never have enough. Just have them all be shoes. All of them.
All right, shoes only. Shoe only bag. Doc says 10, need to order more. There you go. Doc says, Dujit says, I know this is off the current topic and I asked it before. Maybe you missed it, but what is some advice about how to deal with triple mandos near the tee pad and how not to let it get to me? That's a great question. So I'll let you take that one, Brian.
Yeah, I've had quite a few courses, and I have let it get to me before, either because what I've seen other players throw, or just getting in my head. Kind of like if you're like, oh, I gotta throw it over this water, and what do you do 9 out of 10 times? You throw it in the water because that's what you're focused on. So my advice would be either, sometimes it looks like a lame play, but either if it's not too long of a hole, throw something that's either just going to land right before the triple mando if it's pretty far off the tee pad, or I disc up. Like I think most of the people, it was like a 220, 40-foot hole. They were throwing putters. Well, I went with either, I think it was like a mid-range or a fairway driver, just so I knew I could get it through that triple mando. So that would be my advice. Either lay up before it so you can just throw right through it without any worries, or disc up.
There you go. I would say especially if it's, which I don't know if I read everything. It sounded like you were saying it's near the tee pad. So if we're talking like 30 feet or less from the tee pad, like really close by, for me, focusing, like getting my eyes off of the mando itself and focusing on my aim point, the airspace that I'm trying to throw through, helps me keep my accuracy because I know where I'm trying to throw to, not where I'm trying to avoid throwing to. If that makes sense. So for me, it is important to focus up and say, I'm putting my disc through this chunk of air, and then if I do miss, I'm probably still making the triple mando, even if I miss the like spot that I'm aiming for. But yeah, I think that between the two of us, hopefully we've given some good advice. That one, that's a great question. Alice says, thanks for the answers. I'm not religious, nor do I plan to be, but I think the answers were good regardless. Yeah, I think it's something to just keep in mind. I mean, like I said a while back, go where the truth takes you. So I don't blame you for having the perspective that you do. But yeah, just encourage you to to kind of keep an open mind about it. Doc says, Bryant, what is a disc that many people don't throw, but you think should be in most people's bags? Great question.
It's a great question. For me, let's see. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the A series in Prodigy, but for me, I've thrown zones, I've thrown slammers, I've thrown harps, I've thrown pretty much Toro. But for me, I feel like Prodigy's A series is probably some of the best out there. This is an A3, and it's a new plastic. So this is actually an ultra soft. You can bend it. You can do whatever you want with it. I love this plastic because it can sit. So for me, it's A2, A3, or A5. A5 is a little less stable. Flight number is 4302. This is probably my favorite one of the bunch because I can rip on it and it'll turn, but they're all reliable. Like they won't turn over unless you really like put it on a forehand roller line. But for me, I would say the A series in general. And this is kind of a cool one. I think my screen's going to be backwards here, but this is one that I got down in Florida at the Eagles Wings conference. A guy named Tristan, don't remember the last name, but it's Yahweh, which is the name of God on it. And then all around this circle is the various names of God that are in the Bible. So one of my favorite things to do is ever I'm anxious or struggling mentally out on the course, I like to pick this up, even if I'm not going to throw it, and just be like, let's see, most upright, or Lord Jesus Christ, or Abba, or just fills me with so much peace. So, but yeah, Doc, I would say the A series. If you haven't tried out Prodigy's A series, go with an A5. It's the least overstable of the bunch, but any of them won't really do you wrong.
Yeah, great shout out. I've thrown a couple of the A series, and a few of them feel pretty good. And I have kind of like a sister stamp to your Yahweh because I have the I am stamp. Mine's 2 years, well, a year and a half old now. It's kind of beaten up, but you can still kind of see the same idea with the Yahweh. Mine's a zone though, so inferior to the A series. But yeah, great answer. We got a car guy says, "Hi, can you name a car for an edit?" Right? What do you want to throw out for a car? Cool car.
Well, as a father of almost 4, Chrysler Pacifica is the way to go, baby. It's funny. We never thought we'd be van people, but we're like, oh, we're gonna be suburban. We're gonna be a big SUV, and then we try out a van, which is also like 20 or 30,000 less than those SUVs, and it was like, this thing's pretty cool. Like it gets good gas mileage. It's a lot cheaper. All right, vans it is for us. But let's see. I'm trying to think of a cool car. I've always liked what is it? Gone in 60 Seconds, the Shelby GT that Nicolas Cage drives, Eleanor. I would say that would be an awesome car. I don't know much about cars, but I've always had this want to rebuild something like that with some help from somebody who's a mechanic or knows about cars. So I would say the Eleanor.
That's a good choice. Yeah, it was funny. I was asked a couple months ago, and I said Toyota Corolla, and they were like, "What? Like, give me a good car." But yeah, Doc says, "Ooh, super bendy. Do they come in clear for the A? What was that? The A3? That was super bendy."
A3. They might come in clear. Let's see. Where's this disc?
And he says, "Is that 300 soft plastic?"
This is one of the cool ones that I got from them. It was actually a misprint or basically a factory second. But this one's literally like glass, and you can see like some bubbles in the flight plate. This one is not the ultra soft. It's decently bendy, but I haven't seen any that come in. Well, let's see. I haven't seen any that come in clear plastic, but I'm sure if you reach out to Prodigy, they might be able to tell you. This one's pretty cool though. It's got Wario and Waluigi on it. This one's an ultra soft as well. So
Nice. Yeah, Doc is a huge fan of clear discs, and he and Steven are admiring it, saying it's ice clear.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that super flexible one? Is that the 300 the 300 soft plastic?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's 300 ultra soft.
Ultra soft. Okay. There you go. Doc's probably going to buy one now.
Wish I had a code or something to give you.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Yep. Yeah, Doc, I got you. Don't worry. Doc's probably very happy about that. Doc, you gotta after the stream, you gotta go back, take a screenshot just so you can admire the clear disc again. That thing was sparkling clear. Like it was like the commercial where the birds fly into the glass door because it's so clean.
See, I'd be afraid to
Yeah,
lose
that
it.
was
Like that's my fear, that
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to find it. But I threw it a couple rounds, and I was actually pretty surprised that it wasn't too hard to not find. So
I think if the sun's shining, you'll find it. If it's not,
yeah, good
like
luck.
Steven says, I mean, I'd lose it the second I throw it, but definitely awesome looking. Yep. Well, let me wrap things up with my last question. What goals do you have for the rest of 2025? And that can be disc golf or just kind of life in general. And with, of course, the acknowledgement that we're not expecting every plan we have to be the best thing for us. Obviously, we're listening for where God's taking us. But for the rest of the year, what do you have ahead of you that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I would say the iron sharpens iron. I think just trusting God in those. I think a lot of times, I don't know about you, but in my experience or my past, I still like to hold on to a little bit of control. So I almost get discouraged sometimes because I had a 4 or 5 week stretch where I had 4 to 6 guys show up, and it was amazing. And then one of the other clubs, like they moved their tags from Saturday to Friday night. And that was like a bunch of the guys that I was playing with. So I felt very discouraged. Like, oh, they're going to, have to choose tags over doing my iron sharpens iron. So I kind of like went away for a little bit. And then I spoke with my pastor. I'm going through a small group right now called the Timothy Initiative, which is basically about building disciples within the community, doing like a micro church, which is what this disc golf ministry can be considered, because I'm reaching people that the local church might not reach without me reaching out to them. So just being more consistent in having my Friday night rounds, and no matter if one person shows up or 10 people show up, just always go in with that great attitude and letting the Holy Spirit and the Word of God like frame what kind of round we're going to have that night. And then just in tournaments, just trusting the Lord. I think in the few that I've won or played really well in, it's those times where I just play it one shot at a time and don't get in my head a lot. But the rounds where, I just play horrible, it's when I'm like, oh, here we go again. Oh, my putting's not working. Oh, and then just one thing leads to another. So I would say just work on consistency and start to really trust that backhand a little more, be confident and utilize it. You can't get something better if you're like afraid that you're going to mess up. So just go in with growing pains. I think when I was down in Florida at the Eagles Wings conference, I was having a conversation with Joel Freeman, and he was like, like no matter what you're trying to learn, go in it with joy, go in it with wanting to learn, because if you have a bad attitude about it, you're not going to get any better. But if you have a great attitude and are ready to learn and excited to learn, like you're going to get better. And then just, for a while I wanted solo rounds, but now we've been blessed actually within the last week of buying a second vehicle off my mother-in-law for relatively cheap. So it's going to be a lot easier to go out with my kids because I actually homeschool my boys too. So it'll be a lot easier to my wife to do stuff for her office and us to be able to go disc golf a little more. They joke and they're like, "So Daddy, we're going to go every day now?" And I'm like, not quite every day, but a lot more frequent than we were going. So
Well, that's really awesome. And I'll personally attest to rounds where I really trust God with what's going on. I had a round exactly like that yesterday, field of 25 players, and I hit hole one, I hit first available, and I mess up beforehand, I take a bogey, and I feel like an idiot. Somebody on my card parked it. I'm like, wow, I'm so stupid. But I was like, it's not all about playing perfect. It's about doing what I love and doing my best. And I just relaxed and I trusted God with everything. I kind of just felt at peace and I struggled for half the round, but I ended up taking second place. And I was like, just kind of feeling the whole time like I was a little bit off. But in the end, I kind of looked back at my round and I realized I didn't feel like I played amazing or anything like that, but God sustained me and kind of gave me some opportunities to save par and to scramble well and to make a putt that I could easily miss. And in the end, I ended up having a good round, but I didn't feel like it on the first 9 holes. I didn't think after hole three, when I was still +1, that I was going to end up 6 down and taking second place. So having that perspective is so wise, to keep trusting God with what happens. All right, I'll throw one last question out for you and then let you go here. But Ellis says, question for both. I'll answer later. What is your favorite understable, neutral, and overstable mid-range driver and distance driver? You don't have to do all 9 discs, but flippy, neutral, and overstable mids and drivers.
for my mids, one thing I wish that Prodigy would have. So they have an M4. This is another one of my stamps that has the boss on it. But they have an M4, which is like a buzz, like a typical straight shooter. I guess they at one point had an M5, which would be a little more understable. But then this Archive, which I think Isaac Robinson came out when he was on the team. That's just maybe a little more overstable than the M4. So I would say my M4 would be my understable. The Archive would be the straight. And then I really like this MX2. It is 5403, but I can throw it on extreme hyzer, throw it out wide, and then know that it'll come back. It's a good wind fighter as well. As far as fairways go, I really like this is one that I got that I was talking about earlier where the guy gifted me 50 discs. This was actually from 2019 Street Team. It's an F5 and he beat this thing in perfectly for me. I think it's 169 grams or something like that. But hyzer flip, it's brought my back in pretty far. One disc I would recommend if you're wanting to try Prodigy is an F3. I have this one. It's an Isaac Robinson stamped one, but an F3 is a great disc in the woods. You can shape it to go around trees, whether forehand or backhand, and it's very reliable. And then I really I don't know, it's hard sometimes for distance drivers and fairways. I consider a 9-speed like a fairway. So I would say another disc I would try is a Feedback. This is that Ultra Soft one. But it's they have an FX2, but I like this one better. This one's more like a Firebird or maybe in between a Thunderbird and a Firebird. Very stable, good wind fighter. You can put it on a flex line and it'll always fight back. Very reliable. And then as far as distance drivers go, I would say the understable one would probably be more like a D3. I have a lot of Luke Humphreys D3s, and I love to throw those on forehand because they'll go left and then they'll always fight back. Right now, my straight shooter would probably be this D2 Max because it is beautifully seasoned. And then a disc that I also really love is it's an X3. It is very reliable. Some people don't like the D series because it's like bigger rims. Well, the X3 I feel like feels really great in the backhand or forehand. I think it's a very underrated distance driver. So distance driver I would recommend is an X3.
Awesome. Thanks for listing out a bunch of your kind of flippy neutral and overstable discs. And once again, thank you for hopping on the stream, joining us for an interview and just kind of hanging out and chatting for a while. I'm used to doing like 4-hour streams, and I just realized you've been on for like almost 2 hours now. So I want to let you go back to your family. But thanks again, Bryant, for hopping on. I think everybody enjoyed asking you questions and hearing your point of view and your disc golf experience.
Of course, I appreciate you, reaching out, and I appreciate your friendship, our relationship, and I look forward to maybe if you're doing Eagles Wings every year, getting together down there with your brother, and I got a few people here that are interested in coming down as well. And I actually I feel like this was definitely a God thing of you inviting me on here. My creativity has not been great lately, so I'm thinking this might spark my creativity to get back into posting a little more on social media, sharing my my Christianity, my faith a little more. Maybe even doing lives down the road, or doing some kind of devotionals or something in the mornings, or wherever God might take me. But I appreciate you having me on here and asking some good questions. And if you don't mind liking and subscribing to my Instagram and my YouTube, that would be great too. And I appreciate all the great questions. And as much as I can, I love watching your lives on Sunday nights. And great job putting in the work and trusting the process.
Thanks, man. And yeah, maybe you picked up a couple new fans tonight, so you have more people to post for.
Amen.
But yeah, I think I'll type it out again. But that is Disc Golf Daddy with DADDY, right? 3
Yeah,
Ds.
three Ds.
All right, get that typed in and tossed down there. Awesome. Thanks again, man. We'll talk soon. And as always, appreciate hearing from you and being able to interact for a long time. It was really, really nice.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right. See you
Later.
around.
Yep.
Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I know the tech side of things wasn't perfect. Obviously, me not being able to start the stream exactly when I wanted to was a pain. And then, just having things, a little bit of audio being off. So I appreciate your patience. I'm going to go ahead and take out my earbuds and see if we can get back to normal. Probably good. Oh, I'm not wearing earbuds for hours unless I'm like listening to music and working out or something like that, but I don't work out for hours. All right, let me catch up to a couple of quick things here. Doc says that clear is not a color in nature. And my first thought was, Doc, have you ever heard of ice? And then Steven says jellyfish are clear. If you lose a disc on the beach, that might be bad. Doc says gifted 50 discs. Man, that would be cool. I mean, seriously, 50 discs. Paul Taylor says hi. Right on. Hit my only ace with a D3 500. There you go. There you go. That's awesome. Ellis wants to try the archive. They look good. I have heard a lot of good things about the archive. So heck yeah, dude. That's a good disc to give a try. I need to throw one. I don't think I've thrown an archive, but I have heard good things as well. Have heard good things too. Doc says, Brad, if Christian disc golfer interviews are coming, both Hunter at Foundation and Brody Smith talk about their faith in their videos.
I mean, Brody or Hunter would be really incredible to get them on. Um, let's be realistic. They're not about to just hop on my stream. Um, honestly, I think if I'm going to try to incorporate more interviews, which I'm interested in doing, I think I have to figure out how to do that with OBS or with a different format than just going live together. Because like even hearing Bryant myself was a little bit imperfect. And I'm sure that you guys were struggling a little bit with the audio throughout, the whole time. So there are some tech things to solve, and I'm happy to kind of do more research on that. But I do think that that's kind of a down the road thing to get that kind of figured out. Yeah, for sure. But hey, I'd be happy to have more people on, and I am interested to kind of hear. I'm gonna to rewatch the stream and see how things went and see how the audio was, and try to get things improved. But if you guys like the idea of me having someone on and having a conversation like we did today, I'm interested in doing it a little bit more often. Obviously, it was the first one. It was a good trial run, and hopefully, you guys were able to hear most of what we talked about. That's the hope. But yeah, long story short is I'll give it some thought and I'll do some more work. But if I'm going to be trying to, reach out to somebody who's a big name, I've got to get things cleaned up first. So this was a good stepping stone. Yeah. Steven says, was actually not sure if Brody was religious or not. The rest of the Foundation boys and Robbie C, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think Brody is necessarily quite as like specifically outspoken about it. But definitely I've heard a few things from him that has made it clear that he definitely has a Christian background. Yeah. Doc says pretty sure Brody is. He talks about it. Also, Matt at Stagger Stance. Brad, all you can do is ask. Yeah, Brad, all you can do is ask. I mean, that's good. It's true. But I want to be reasonable. And also, let's say somebody says yes and it's a nightmare for them. They're never coming back. So I have to be prepared. I have to put together something worth being a part of. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. Is I have to be at a point where it'd be worth participating in. Um, so that will take a while, but that's fine. That's just part of life. I don't expect to be, in the end game right away. It takes a while. It takes a while. Doc says audio is fine when I came in, maybe better than usual. So maybe my earbuds worked out pretty well. Maybe I'll have to consider that. If my earbuds actually sound great, maybe I'll start wearing them again. Maybe maybe I'll go like back and forth one at a time so my ears don't get too tired of it. Doc says, yeah, nightmare for them, but very entertaining for us. Aren't the fans the most important? Fair enough. What can I say to that? I mean, true enough. I'll get back to Ellis's question. Great question, by the way. Talking about the kind of flippy neutral to overstable. So I'll go through kind of all of my discs very briefly. Putters, I don't really have necessarily too much variation, but I guess if you count the zone as my overstable putter, which, whatever, then I've got myself my zone for overstable, a Warden for dead straight, and my keystone turns over. Then for mid ranges, my taco is overstable. My echoes are dead straight or a little flippy if they're beaten in, and then my soul is really flippy. Once you jump up to fairways, I don't really have. Well, okay. So fairways, I'll say my super flippy is my. It would be my insanity, but I lost that. So my dynasty is super flippy, very beaten in dynasty. My FD1 is pretty dead straight. It has some fade to it, but it's been beaten up a little bit more recently, so it's pretty dead straight. And then my Captain's Raptor is overstable. Then for distance drivers, I would say, well, I guess I have a flippy echo. I guess my TD is probably my most neutral dead straight, and my hurricane is my overstable. So quick little run through of my disc variety there. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm working with for my stuff. All right, let's see. Yeah, that was a great question. So, are there any old questions that I ran through? Definitely ignored some and missed some comments here and there. I couldn't answer everything, but that's just kind of how it is. Doc says aim small, miss small. Yep, Brad actually had good advice. Writes this date in his journal. So there you go. I actually apparently had good advice. So I'm proud of myself for that one. But yeah, that principle is good. Aim small, miss small. But it is kind of something that I have found a lot of people will agree with the principle to aim small, miss small, but they won't necessarily apply it to kind of aiming in open space. And that is kind of something that I found to be a huge benefit for me is when I'm aiming to throw around a tree, like I'm picking a spot in the air, just in open space that I'm aiming at. And that's something a lot of people I think struggle to kind of picture their disc flight and their shot shape hitting that point. So that's something that helps me a lot with accuracy, though, is envisioning that mid-air spot. I think Gannon and maybe Paul Macbeth have talked about like rings or like something to throw through. Whatever helps. I don't necessarily picture something. I just think about that kind of space in the air, 280 feet away from me, where I'm wanting my disc to hit that spot, and I want it to be turning or straight or fading or whatever. But aim small, miss small is, well, it's a phrase for a reason. Bryant says, funny thing was when I thought I reconnected my earbuds, I actually didn't. That was all on phone speaker. Interesting. So maybe that was a step up. Doc says, Bryant, the audio was really good. So maybe that actually helped was just going phone speaker for the audio. It's possible. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I'm glad that worked out. Glad it worked out. Doc says Brad had a good idea right when Bryant was leaving. Why not a segment asking what discs a guest would suggest for you, or a 3-pack of putter mid driver? So yeah, that's fair. That's a good question to be asked. What would be suggested to me? I don't know if Bryant is still listening at the moment, but if you are, Bryant, what 3 discs would you suggest for me? What Prodigy discs, I guess in particular, maybe would you suggest for me? I have thrown a couple A series, like I said, but it's been a little while. I just remember liking the A2 that I had. I think I gave it to a buddy because he forehanded it so smooth, and I was like, I'm not even gonna ever throw it that well. But yeah, I'm interested to see what 3 discs might be suggested. Doc says Ben's for me sounds a bit out and in, although it could be my speakers. I don't know who Ben is, but I'm guessing that he's talking about my audio is a little bit in and out. So I don't know if that's because I'm just using my phone right now or my earbuds. Steven says, definitely going to let you throw my mind bender when I come down. It's getting flippy. Ooh, I like a little flippy mind bender. Yeah, I definitely would love to give that a couple of throws. Yeah. Maybe we'll be able to play in a wing it tournament again. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be cool. So Steven, have you played Bradford? Because I remember you commented, but I don't remember if you were asking what course I was playing or if you were commenting on Bradford. I don't remember. But have you played Bradford? I know that they did have to, like after the hurricanes last year, I know they had to do a lot of work to get the course back. So I didn't actually play it until this calendar year because I didn't get around to it prior to that. And then after they fixed it up, I didn't play it for a little while. So it was a kind of a little while before I experienced the course for myself. It's only been the last couple months. Luke, back from Taco Bell. What's up? Awesome. Luke, I don't know if we managed to fix the audio completely, but it does seem like the audio got a little bit better. So appreciate your patience and your feedback helping. Bryant says P Model S, A5, and F3. F3. Let me see. Good suggestions. And let me see what that. I feel like I've either thrown an F3, but now I'm not remembering. 7.5, -1.2. That feels like a brave to me. I think F3 is a great suggestion. A5 and P Model S. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at those discs. I have thrown feedback. I do like the feedback. I've thrown that. Steven says, don't think so. I know the name. I've heard it's awesome. In my opinion, I think people slightly overhype Bradford, but it's a great course. Like, I think it's a good course, but I think people love it a little more than its actual level. It's rated really highly. It's like a 4.7 something or something on UDisc, which is really, really great. But like, I like it. I like it a lot, but I don't know. I don't love it. Anyway, that's just my point of view. There are a lot of great shots, but the middle stretch of the course is pretty forgettable. Luke says Doritos Locos Tacos. Ooh, great choice. Great choice. Those are pretty good. Doc says Ben, Brad, Soup Boy, same difference. All right. Doc says got me the 3 tacos. I get the 3 tacos and a drink, nacho grande, and drink. He said drink twice. Do you get multiples? Or are those 2 different orders? 3 tacos and a drink, or a nacho grande and drink? I guess that would make sense. Doc says feedback and echo, please bag both. That's fair enough. A little audio pun if you didn't catch it, or if you didn't hear it. Swing and a miss on that one. Luke says, hey Brad, I got my Archer back after a year of it being lost. Maybe more flippy than a Soul. And I'll go ahead and say, I would say definitely more flippy than the Soul. I don't remember if I borrowed an Archer, but I threw it like a Soul and it rolled. And I was like, what is this disc? This is so flippy. So yeah. And after you added all of your power and distance, there's no point throwing it unless you want something that's going to roll and keep going left for you in the lefty backhand throw. Yeah, Archer is super flippy. Steven says, so what is your favorite course? So it's kind of a strange thing because I haven't actually played the whole course and I haven't experienced the last few holes, but actually Renaissance Gold was like it was the course that gave me the most feeling of awe. Like I was like, wow, like this is a disc golf course. Like, wow. So in Charlotte, Renaissance Gold, I played the first 10 holes. And just on almost every shot, I was like, this is just awesome. Like this course is good. It's really good. That was my experience of it. I would say in a lot of ways, though, Scrapyard is kind of my favorite just because it's so fun to just play through. You can rip through the course fast. You have 2 water carries if you want to play the longs on 9. It challenges you to throw a lot of different shot shapes, but if you want to make the backhand work, you can do it. Yeah. So I think Scrapyard's really high up there in terms of favorite courses as well. But yeah, I think Renaissance Gold is just like there's just something incredible about it. Makes me feel like I'm on a pro level course. But I haven't played the last couple, and I think that they overlap with Rensky, and I guess I did play like the last 2 holes, but I can't say that they're necessarily quite as good, maybe challenging, but maybe not quite as good as the majority of the first half of the course. Doc says, yeah, when I eat out, it's usually all 3 meals in one. I've never thought about doing that. Steven says, I think most of the courses there have great parts and terrible parts. Westminster is a good example. Yeah, well, Westminster is a perfect example because right in the middle of the course, you get 2 holes back to back that are like impossible. And what's even more wild is I think there's 12 and 13. Is that my brother and I got both birdies in our doubles round, and neither of those holes did we think we were going to birdie, and then we rolled straight through and got them both, and it took like luck, a lot of luck. They're just kind of really scrappy holes out of nowhere. But yeah, like even scrapyard hole 13, I think 13. Yeah, hole 13. I think doesn't fit with the rest of the course. Like it's just a random dinky downhill, but you can't actually throw a good shot because trees will just stop you. And then, oh, you threw a great shot, you rolled a 50. Like I just don't get it. Doc says, so archery is your roller disc? Could be. I think it's too much of a roller disc. Like you want to actually get roller distance. Too flippy. Steven says that place is beautiful, just not comfortable there if all the clay ground is wet. Fair enough. I played in the leaves at Renaissance Gold, and that was really nice. Like in the fall, beautiful, fresh air. Luke says, "What was your favorite course in Florida?" Ooh, I think the Green Gauntlet is pretty far up there. It's out of town, pretty good, like heavily wooded course. But if you hit your lines, you get rewarded. So that's really up there. But honestly, Jonesville was like it just it felt like home. It was my home course. Yet it has a great shorts layout that once you get good, you can tear it up, but it's still beneficial to play the short shots and keep practicing. And the longs is challenging enough that, I mean, even when Kelvin Heimberg came through, he only shot, I think, a 15 or 14 down. And it's like, it's a great course. It has a lot of challenging shots, but it's rewarding if you can throw decently far and have decent accuracy. So I think Jonesville is like, I miss it. I miss playing Jonesville. I miss filming at Jonesville. Yeah. Luke says, even though I wasn't good, Jonesville is my favorite. Yeah. Great course. Bryant says, which part of Florida were you from again? So I was in the Gainesville area. So 45 minutes west of Jacksonville. So I did play New World and then Trinity North and South. And then I guess Moccasin Creek is over there. But what is the other Jacksonville one? Four Palms at Austin. All good courses. Green Gauntlet, Champions Point, something. Very good courses. Even Olympus, I thought, is a great course, but it wasn't really my favorite. It's a really good course. I don't know. There's something about Olympus to where it feels. I can't quite put my finger on it. It feels both pro level and a little bit cobbled together. It's still absolutely an amazing course and worth playing, and they're doing a great job with it. But I don't know. Like part of me is like Jonesville just gives me enjoyment and peace, and Olympus is very much a like stress course. And even when you're just in the weeds, the saw blast, the saw grass is just ripping at your legs. So I don't know. It's just like it's a great course, but it's kind of a course that you have to amp up for. You gotta be like, all right, I'm gonna play Olympus. I'm gonna go hit the course. And at Jonesville, you can just be like, I'm gonna go have fun. Gonna have a great time. Steven says, lost my ugly purple destroyer, one of my favorite all-time discs, somewhere in an awful spot in Renaissance. Still hoping someone gives me a call one day. Yeah, I have. Yeah, that stinks. I have some hope that it ends up at another round at some point and makes its way back to you. But yeah, that's a bummer. Doc says, in Florida, ever spot a wild Eric and Tina Oakley? Never ran into the Oakleys, but Garrett Gerthy. Saw Garrett quite often at Northside Park. Just ran into him after watching Portland Open, watching him on coverage. Like a week or a week and a half after I watched that, I just walked up at Northside and I was like, yeah, you're Garrett Gerthy. And he was like, yep. It was very cool. So Garrett and then Evan, his brother, also very good. sponsored by Prodiscus. Yeah, Johnny McRae. I got a lesson from Johnny McRae down in the Tampa area. But yeah, that never ran into the Oakleys. Brian says, you ever venture down to Daytona Beach area? Reed Canal used to be my jam. I wish. I have been to Daytona Beach, but it was before my disc golf days. So it was like 8 years ago, and it was beautiful, especially the like I had a family member with a beach house. Wow, was that amazing. But I know Daytona gets crazy during certain times of the year. But it's a beautiful area. Didn't get to play any disc golf though. So I wish. Reed Canal, I mean, it sounds like a fun place. Sounds like a fun course. Doc says, did he slip you some sample jerky? So I did get some. I didn't get any from him, but I got some of the Double G jerky at a like Florida tournament where we had free jerky. I don't even remember if it was Chain Hawk Open, maybe. So my first Chain Hawk Open, I think we got some free jerky with that. So it was like a local. It was Northside Jonesville, his local courses, home courses. But he didn't give me any. But he did make brisket for a fundraiser tournament earlier this year that I actually drove down in the middle of my like finishing up moving back and forth between Florida and Charlotte. I drove down and got the fundraiser tournament in, and he did smoke a brisket for us. Whatever, he cooked meat and shredded it and made pulled pork sandwiches. So yeah. Anyway, pulled pork is really good, and he spent like 40 hours making that for us. That was really cool, and it was quite good. Bryant's first 2 aces were at that park. Ooh. Yeah, that's how it's done. I mean, you can't forget your aces, especially first couple of aces. Reed Canal sounds like a fun course to ace run. Doc says, I like Double G jerky, but the price plus shipping is just too dear. Whatever that means, it's too much, I'm guessing. But yeah, it's very good, but it is expensive. But jerky is expensive, period. So I get it. It stinks. I don't eat jerky nearly as much as I probably would, just because of the price. Yeah, but it's very good. Ellis says, "Have you played Disc Golf Masters yet?" Doc says that he's only 30. True. I have not played it yet, and there's a couple of things going on. I've been learning new software for editing, and that has been taking up the vast majority of my time. And I'm getting there. And if you watched the Rip Revenge video that I just threw out there with Luke, Justin, and I, that is the first video that I fully made in DaVinci Resolve. So that is like the new editing software, I guess the new style for me to an extent, because I just had no access to old anything, text fonts, boxes, nothing. I have nothing. So shout out to that. If you haven't seen it, hilarious video, ton of fun. So make sure you watch that. But yeah, that was, it's just been a lot of work learning new editing software. It's been a lot. Then I wrapped up that video, and after a long week of learning and editing, and then a game that has been on my radar for a month or two called Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon, which I'm very much enjoying. It came out on Friday, so I pre-ordered it, I bought it, and I was busy all day Friday, and I got to play a little bit in the evening. But any spare time that I've had, I've been playing that game. So it's been really, really fun. But I have not booted up Steam. I have not installed the Disc Golf Masters game and tried it out yet. I thought about streaming it, but yeah, my schedule has just been kind of insane. So long story short, not yet. But it does look fun. Steven says, yeah, they don't give you a lot of jerky in the bag, still really good. Yeah. Yeah. Luke says that was an easy video, don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, it's a good one. You should give it a look. You should watch it. It was a lot of fun. It took a lot of editing. Steven says, "Is that how it works down there? People take lost and found to another round. We just have a bin up here, and one guy in charge sends a text." So I would say probably 60 to 70% of lost and found makes its way to another round. There's a couple of local like boxes at some local courses, like Blair Mill has a box, and I just saw a box. Maybe Kilbourne. I can't remember what the other course was. Reedy, I think, has a return box. Reedy does, yeah. But honestly, like I have texted multiple people, "Hey, I found your disc. You want to meet up?" And they'll say, "Can you just drop it off at another round? I'll pick it up next week." So that it's kind of like the central hub for disc return. Yeah. So it's just kind of the way. It is the way. It's come to the point where if I'm busy and I find a disc, I won't even necessarily text. I'll just kind of go to another round and I'll drop it off, and they'll be like, "Who's this for?" And or did you reach out to the guy? And I was like, "No, I didn't." They're like, "Okay, we'll get a hold of him." So I don't feel like a douchebag, but they do a lot of disc returning. Yep. In Gainesville, we have Lost and Found at Northside, and everything funnels in through the drop boxes, and then there are like stacks of discs in that like closet, and a lot of them get returned. And then every once in a while, they do a disc sale, and they'll sell tons of discs. And every once in a while, you'll show up to the disc sale and find one of your discs, and be like, "Hey, this is mine," and then be like, "Okay, it's yours. Like, take it. You don't have to pay for it." But yeah, they try to return the discs. Steven, Doc says, "Luke, we always need you and anyone else playing to team up on Brad. Thank you." Yep. So, I mean, you could probably guess, but what happens when I drive across the country to go hang out with Justin and Luke and play some disc golf? They team up on me and try to play a bunch of cards, making me throw left-handed putter shots off the tee, etc., etc. So go watch the fun. It was pretty great. I should probably end the poll. Thank you guys for voting for me. I feel a little bad that Bryant ended up with a lower number of votes. But I tied with Gandalf. I'm pretty happy about that. I can't believe I tied with Gandalf for Beard. I think a lot of people voted for me because my name was first. Doc says, "Luke." Oh, I read that. Doc says, "I'd pay for it just to help out the company. Worth it to get your disc back." Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just it depends on, if your local club is running things and they're selling a bunch of discs, you don't want to be like, you didn't return my disc. Like, do I have to pay $10 for it? But yeah, another round. I don't know if they ask for $5 or $1 to get your disc back to you, because I haven't had someone return one through another round to me yet. Whoever took my blue and yellow Valkyrie, thanks for nothing. But yeah. Doc says, "Yeah, I voted for Brad. Was thinking guy on the screen was Ben." Of course, of course. Luke says, "Do a vote on if we 1v1, who would win?" I think everyone would vote for me, LOL. All right. That's a good one. All right, poll started. Doc says, I vote Luke, second place, Ben, and then Brad. Third place for me out of 2. That's really good. I should start adding Ben to polls. Just put Ben in there for no reason. Doc will vote for Ben every time. Ooh, I have a vote. Somebody voted for me, and I can't vote, by the way. Oh, it's Justin rooting for you, Brad. Luke can't putt. All right. I got 1 vote. I did putt really well when we played together in Michigan, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily outstanding putting for me, but I had been putting really bad. So it was nice to just kind of like putt well for the whole day. I was like, thank goodness it's been a while. And actually, I should probably shout out my tournament yesterday. I mentioned it earlier, but I was playing at Bradford, and hole one, I yank on my putter, flip it over too much, hit first available, kick to a terrible spot, shank my upshot, take a bogey on hole one. My first birdie is hole 4, and then I have a great shot on hole 7 that I throw over and past the basket, and I miss my putt back around the trees, and I'm even through 7, and I'm like, no way am I winning. Like I went 9 down in practice or 8 down in practice last week. No way am I winning with even through 7. Like this is not happening. Hit a great putt on the next hole. A couple holes later, I threw a beautiful shot that the wind dropped down short of a rock, and I had to putt over the rock, and I hit the band. But I proceeded to fight for the rest of the course, managed to get to 6 down, and I proceeded to watch 3 different people like go to like 4, 5, 6 down, and then take bogeys. And then one person, Holt, ended up going 8 down and winning. And he should have won. Like he's good. If I'm only playing a 6 down, he should win. If I put up, an 8 or 9 down, then I'd be like, all right, that's better. But I fully expected him to beat me. But I took second place out of 25, and I felt like I struggled. I didn't play my best. That was really encouraging. That was really a blessing to feel like I'm not destroying. I'm not playing great, and I took second place. It's also helpful because there's an upcoming point series. This was the last tournament in the point series, so the finale is next week for money, for cash, unsanctioned. And I believe with my 24 points that I'm going to be qualified for it. And it's at Scrapyard. Home course advantage, 2 rounds. I'm very much excited. Very much excited. Doc says, by the way, probably be week after next before you get your shoebox. Will you wait till after 7:30 to open, please? Thank you. Yes, I will do that. Yeah, just leave a comment somewhere at some point to remind me. But yes, after 7:30, and let's see, that'll work really well because I will be traveling next week. Luke says, so you want to take yourself disc golfing now, Justin? Steven says, oh wow, maybe I'll ask my friend to give them a look. Let's see, is that an old? Now that I talked about nothing for 10 minutes. Maybe that's another round that you're talking about? Justin says, wouldn't be the first time, Luke. Doc says, Steven, give what a look? Steven says, another round to see if my disc is there just in case. Yes. There you go. That's what I thought, but yeah. Wish we had a disc store near me. It is nice. It is nice to have another round nearby, and it's fairly populated because it's like Charlotte. People will hang out and just chat and talk about league and watch whatever tournaments on the screen on the TV and just chill. Doc says, Brad, whenever you open it, if I'm not here, I will probably be here after 7:30 if I work Sunday. Yep. Yeah, it's it'll basically, I should be able to do my live streams every week, but I won't be in Charlotte for a week, and then I'll be back. So it might just be another week before I actually get to open it, but we'll get there. It'll just take a little while. And then I've got to, of course, play with them and then prep them for a giveaway. Duja is back. Anything to pack snack-wise or drink-wise for a 6-ish hour tournament? Ooh. Yeah. You're going to want trail mix or granola bar. You just need enough. You need some protein and sodium. And then when you do drink water, because it'll make you a little bit thirsty, you'll retain your water better. So you'll stay hydrated. There you go. Or you can be like my brother and pack fruit snacks. Bryant, we still got to figure out the Myrtle Beach Charlotte battles at some point. Absolutely. Yeah. The timing is just Unfortunate. Unfortunate timing. But yeah, we'll get some disc golf in sometime. I'll even say big tournament in Gainesville end of the year, Chainhawk Open. I will be going to that, but you'll have to watch the sign up window if you were to hope to make it, because it fills up in 3 minutes. Pros go to that place all the time. Yeah, Austin Turner's there a lot when he's not on tour. Lunch is provided, dude. That's good. That's good. Can't go wrong with Slim Jim, jerky, peanut butter crackers, granola bars. The bag can handle 2 drinks in one. Pocket freeze 1 bottle of water to keep the other cold. There we go. Steven says trail mix is great. True. 2 cup holders, but separate sides. Interesting. Doc says hashtag Team Bryant. All right. Dude just says probably just have a thing of water with ice. Yep. Get 2 drinks and you love it. Yeah, my old bag had 2 drink holders, and for Florida that was essential. I have not experienced it. My new bag has only 1. I have not experienced it being a bad thing yet in Charlotte. But I do need to keep extra water in the car for the ride home, because 1 is not enough for a full day. Dude just says officially on summer for him and already gone to 2 tournaments. It's going to be an exciting summer. Already been in one, going to this one. Yeah, heck yeah, dude. I'm excited for you. You've been counting down the weeks for 7 or 8 live streams now, and you're finally here. I'm really excited. You're gonna play tons of disc golf. You're gonna be rated higher than me. It's crazy. It's great. Bryant says thanks, Doc, for the hashtag Team Bryant. It's not just you, Bryant. He does hashtag Team Brent, hashtag Team Luke. Everybody but me. He'd probably do hashtag Team Ben if he didn't think I was Ben. Doc says kick some butt and learn to throw the shoe and dragon. Steven says if you get tired on the course, I highly recommend liquid IV in the water. I don't know how liquid 4 helps you, but fair enough. Doc says, Bryant, to be fair, I was probably the tree that smacked Brad's disc away. My loyalty is easy to come by. Oh my gosh, I cannot read sometimes. Luke is winning. Yes. Luke is winning, but there are only 5 votes. So you're only winning by 1. If I log into a different YouTube, I can vote in this poll, but I can't because I'm in my account. I'm in my profile. Tournament is rated, so you'll officially get a rating. You just need to put together some good rounds. Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll do well. You'll do well. And if your first rated round isn't spectacular, that's fine. It's just the first one. No worries. They'll average out really well. And once you have a great round, especially if it's in your first 4 or 5 tournaments, it will when you have an update, it might double count your best round and you could have a fantastic rating for a little while. But yeah, it'll come together. I expect great things. Doesn't have any packets, but right now, but they would be good. Steven says liquid 4 is terrific. There you go. Doc says don't forget a paper towel to keep in your pocket. Keep hand in pocket to help control hand sweat. There you go. I tend to use my disc towel, my disc wipe towel to dry my hands, but paper towel in pocket could work too. Oh, I'm getting a little bit worn out already. Who else is tired? Is it just me? Luke says chalk. Yeah. I don't do chalk, but Brad, any love for climbers chalk? Personally, not for disc golf. Climbers chalk is good, dries out the hands. It's great for climbing. I just feel like it doesn't let the disc leave my hand right. It either slips out early or I over grip my disc and grip lock it because I'm trying desperately to hold on to the disc long enough. I think honestly part of it is I don't think chalk works well with fan grip. I think it's better for power grip. I don't know if that's the case, but that's how I feel. Bryant just voted for me. All right. Got another vote. Got another vote. Somebody changed their vote because now we have 6 votes and Luke is winning still. We should be tied. Justin said, I've spent like 5 minutes total on your live tonight, so not tired of you yet. All right. I'll take that as a compliment, I guess. Doc says whale sack isn't working so well. Steven said, did you end up hitting that gap that your friend and you kept missing? I have not been back yet. No, it's the same thing. Same question. That's great. Did you ever pure the gap with the backhand? I haven't been back to Eastway yet. So when I do play the course again, I'll set up and film a lot more shots until I either get it or get some sort of good highlight or so many fails that it's worth posting another video. But I haven't been back yet. I really thought my strike was perfect, and it just flipped up. I thought I was going to just kind of hyzer flip to flat, dead straight, and it just flipped up a tiny bit and drifted and hit that tree. So close. Luke Doc says, Luke, I voted for you a second time. Let's go. Oh, we're coming in and cheating. Oh, that's not fair. Noah, can you vote real quick for Brad in the poll? We gotta even things out. That was so close. Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I mean, we walked up to the tee pad, and my buddy goes like, "Oh, dude, imagine throwing that middle gap," and I was like, "That's insane! Like, that's dumb, or whatever." And then we threw our shots, and I was like, "Let's try to do it. Let's try to throw it on camera." So it was kind of funny that we weren't even really like it was kind of just a silly like imagine, and then we were like, "Let's try it." And actually had a good shot that was pretty close. I was happy with that. But yeah, I'll be back because it's a unique challenge. I've never tried to pure a gap like that on purpose. I've done gaps like that on accident, missing my line off to the side, but never on purpose. So that'll be a fun one to go back and film. All's fair in love and disc golf. Great shot, clack. Yep, that was tragic. Not the first time I've been niced. Doc says, imagine. Brent says, what's happening? Great question. We are voting on who wins in a 1v1, Luke or me. And for some reason, people are voting for Luke. I don't know why, but they are. Call it the local route. It's a very local route. Very local. That's true. That's true. Doc says they float. Yes, the dragons float. Hey, Brent, your boy Brad did a good interview. Aw, thanks, Doc. Doc complimented me. I basically gave the advice, aim small, miss small. I didn't say that, but I was saying you aim at a spot, and if you miss, it'll still be a good shot. And Doc says that it was great advice, and he like wrote it down in his journal and everything. So it flabbergasted him. Noah says, "Welcome to North Carolina disc golf." Yeah, it's tight. Charlotte golf is tight, but yeah, Charlotte is challenging in the best way, helping improve, beat down your spirit, but improve your game. Put it that way. My brother is better than me at hitting gaps. He's a Charlotte golfer. Doc says being a lefty, local routes is just what you pray for instead of out in the woods. Luke said, Luke 889 rated, Brad 950 rated, and they think I can win. Yes, and actually, I bumped back up. I'm 965 rated after my 1011 rated round last month. Bumped back up to 965. So I recovered from 4 months of playing like crap. Brent vote for Luke so Ben's head doesn't get too big. Can barely read anything Doc says. I figure he only does good. I thought it was a good interview. It was a little bit unfortunate with the audio that we couldn't even overlap talking without it screwing up. So there was a little bit of like talking and then stopping and waiting for the other person, letting them talk until they finally like stopped, and then like switching back and forth. So it wasn't exactly the most organic, but I thought it was a good interview. Worth watching. Steven says, great interview. Thank you. I thought it was great. Local routes here on Long Island lead to Lyme disease in the summer. LOL. Awesome to try in cold weather, though. Steven coming in from New York. Brent says, Brad and I are about to play tomorrow in the rain. I did say if it's not pouring, I'll play. If it's pouring rain, I'm staying home. And, well, I'll probably edit, but I was thinking Fall of Avalon, but I'll probably be editing. I've got to get my next video ready. I will be live streaming next week like normal, but then Monday I will be driving all day up to Michigan because I have the US Amateur Championship. I can't believe it's already here. It's in a week and a half that I will be like practicing and preparing for, what did I just call it? US Amateur? Yeah, US Amateur Championship. Yeah. US AMS. It's coming fast. So like I'll be traveling, practicing. You guys are going to see some footage of me playing the toboggan course, the D-Glow course. So be ready for some fails, but some bombs downhill, because I'm going to rip a few good shots out there. It's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be rough. Hopefully I can get some good practice in. Or he'll bail because he'll be scared. I'm not scared of rain. I just dislike it. Also, I'm scared of playing bad in the rain. Doc says, Luke, have you seen my fantasy disc golf team? I vote with my heart, not my brain. Truer words. Doc says, Brent, hope you win by 20. Hashtag Team Brent just lost to hashtag Team Brad or hashtag Team Ben, depending on who's typing. Brent says, I won't. I have been playing like an absolute goober. Yeah, I just beat Brent 2 in a row. Last 2 times we played, victory is mine. Victory is sweet. Doc says, Brent, he will probably send you a video of the water hose over his head complaining about the monsoon. I'll be honest, if I didn't have such hot water for my showers, I would struggle with showering. I would hate it. I don't like being wet, and if I'm cold and wet, I'm miserable. Y'all make fun of me. Luke says, just let me know when we are going to play together. Yeah, basically, I'm hoping that I can swing through and get in a kind of quick round and head from you guys to Toboggan to get practice in there. I don't know. I don't know if I can make it work or not, but I'm going to try. USA DGC. US doubles? Doc says, I'm always right, even when I throw left. New hat slogan. Make a wish, Brent letting Brad win. Man is a hero. Hashtag Team Brent. Wow. I feel like that's horribly like making a mockery of children who are passing away from horrible diseases. Doc, you should be ashamed of yourself. So cruel. So cruel. And he thinks he's funny. Gasp. Brent says I'm about to uninstall. Yeah, you're just talking about US amateur doubles. But that's going to be in November. I'm talking about US Amateur Disc Golf Championship, which is going to be in June. Michigan Disc Golf is wild. That elevation change is wild. Yeah. Michigan is great. Michigan is beautiful. Toboggan is unbelievable. It's overgrown. And actually, I think they actually trimmed it out, which is going to be nice. They probably found like 150 discs just clearing like 15 feet of brush. They probably found dozens of discs. Brent's going to let this guy win for his ego, uninstalling. You've never once in your life let me win something for my ego. And yes, we've only known each other for like 8 months, but still, you've never let me win something for my ego. But Brent did give me Mountain Dew, like a case of, what is that flavor? I can't read it. I can't read that flavor. Citrus. Something citrus. I don't know. It's like orange. It's quite good. It's quite good. So shout out Brent. Luke is going to bed. See you soon. All right, man. I'll catch you soon. And sleep well. Get some good rest. Prep yourself for the next time that you hit the course, and you will dominate. Don't let the bogey bugs bite. That's creepy. Not all heroes wear capes. Doc says, I hear Mountain Dew is illegal in other countries because it's so bad for you. Great idea, Brent. Baja Citrus or something? Oh yeah, I think it's Baja Citrus. I literally just can't read it. Baja something citrus. Baja Cabo Citrus. I wouldn't be too shocked if Mountain Dew was illegal in some countries. It's bad for you, but it's good. Brent's buddy wants us to go to Reedy. Just played Reedy, and Reedy gets really sloppy. If we have to, we can go Reedy. I just need to get, because I'm going to be gone all next week, and it's raining all this week, I'll only have the week leading up to the Charlotte Amateur Championship to play Renaissance, Hornets, and Eastway. Angry. And I haven't played Angry since Charlotte Roar Open. I haven't fully played Renaissance Gold, and I've only played Hornets doubles or bag swap. So I haven't actually played Hornets fully with my own bag. So I feel very underprepared for the 3 courses that we're playing for the Charlotte Amateur Championship. And if it's rainy all this week, I won't be able to get good practice in. I'll be gone all next week. And I'm driving back at earliest Monday of the week where Friday is day 1 of the CAC. So I don't want to do full practice rounds Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then compete Friday, Saturday, Sunday of that week. So I would love to actually get out on the course on one of those courses this week. We aren't even playing gold. Well, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not Rensky. I'm talking about Renaissance. Doc says Mountain Dew, along with certain other American foods, was previously banned in Europe and other countries because it contained brominated vegetable oil. Baja Blast Zero Sugar is ridiculously awful for you, but amazing. I'll be honest, I think the zero sugars are equally bad for you as the sugared, and I just go all sugar. I won't sacrifice any flavor because I don't think diet is better for you. Maybe for some people it is a healthier choice, but Friday is day 1, huh? Is it Saturday, Sunday? Is it 2 rounds on Saturday? Is that what they do? That seems weird for an A tier to do 2 rounds and then 1 round. Brent's grilling me like I'm a Charlotte local. I don't know. I'm guessing they didn't change it. I'm guessing that I'm just assuming that, like rational humans, they would do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 1 round each day, and not double up 2 rounds in a day for an A tier. It's just me. 2 Saturday now. That's why you don't want to. I mean, 2 rounds in a day and then another one following in the summer, Brent's gonna suffer. You think that I'm a diva about playing in the rain? That's Brent in the heat. Last year it was 1 day. No way. 3 rounds in a day. No. It was not 1 day. No way. Dude just says, my only card mate on the Glitch Champs only played with his custom dyed Sonic glitch. He ended up losing a 3-way playoff for the win. Wow. That's so close. No, it's not better for you at all. I just don't like how sugary drinks dry my mouth immediately. Yeah, fair enough. If you have a preference, obviously go with it. Like, that makes perfect sense. But yeah, it's like what they try to fix, they just create new problems. So it's bad for you in slightly different ways. So if it's up to flavor, then just pick the flavor you like. Doc says, who's trying to play disc golf tomorrow? I'm hoping, but if it's going to be with Brent and it's going to be raining, 50-50, I cancel. Brent says, I'm an old man. Yeah, you are. Doc, hoping you can go before taking nieces and nephew to lunch. Oh, that's cool. I hope that's a really enjoyable time with family. What food are you getting? Are you going like a specific local restaurant or like a fast food or something like that? Brent says, Rennie, Hornets, and Angry. Yeah. And if there are any Angry Longs, I haven't really played those. Like, I have shorts. But I am hoping it's shorts because I can play Angry Shorts really well. Brent says, 1 round a day, you bum. Oh, so you're saying last year they played a round each day as opposed to what they're doing this year. Gotcha. He manages to insult me with every comment. So rude. I expect nothing less. Dugit would play a round of golf with Doc if he was anywhere nearby. Doc says, I like my alone time, but Dugit, for you, I would try. Ben and I are playing tomorrow unless he wusses out. Enough with the Bens. 50-50 or 50-50 or converted real numbers, 90-10. This doesn't make any sense. They're both real numbers. They're not irrational, unreal numbers. Dude just playing tomorrow, nice. I just wish it wasn't gonna be like gross out. Like, it's gonna be raining all week. Blech. I guess tomorrow is the optimal day before it gets extra muddy and gross. Yeah. Steven is basically the acting general manager of a restaurant until the real one comes back from paternal leave. Can only play once a week now. That's brutal. That's brutal. Either pizza buffet or most likely a nice little Mexican restaurant near them. Those are perfect choices. Mexican restaurant or a little pizza buffet. That's beautiful. That's awesome. Love Mexican, second only to Asian. I do love a good Asian buffet. I feel like you can have really bad Asian buffets and pretty good ones. And any good one has great crab rangoon. So if you walk in and you walk up to their crab rangoon and it's bad, just leave. Just go somewhere else. But if they have good crab rangoon, yeah, you're going to enjoy yourself. Fact Frenzy just tuned in for the end. Thanks for hopping on and joining us. Wait, this isn't Ben Hendrick, wrong channel. Everyone's getting confused about what taco salad is. Yeah, Mexican food can be really good. Really good. Ever try taco pizza? That's where the money is. Taco pizza can be good. It's tough because a lot of places will overspice it. They'll be like, oh, this is supposed to be like a taco pizza, and they'll dump all the spice on, and you're like, ugh. Like, it doesn't taste good. It's just a bunch of spice. But I have had good taco pizza. And good taco pizza comes with sour cream on the side, by the way, FYI, for everyone wondering. And strangely enough, I am not a tomato guy, but taco pizza benefits from tomato. It's a weird blend of perfection. Just how it is. Dude just says around me it's only supposed to sprinkle tonight and rain on Tuesday. There you go. Get the good weather disc golf in. Don't eat the crap rangoon. No. Crab rangoon. If you've been eating crap rangoon your whole life, you've been doing it wrong. I don't know where you've been finding that, but that was a huge mistake on your part. It's crab rangoon and it's delicious, but only if it's done well. If it's done poorly, then it's just bleh, sad. Welcome, party of how many? Oh, actually, can I sample your crab rangoon first? That's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is. They're like, how many? I'm like, hang on. Give me a moment. How's your crab rangoon? Mediocre? Thank you. We'll see you later. Taco Bell has taco pizza. I have not had Taco Bell's taco pizza. Feels like a miss for me. I should have done that by now. Don't put spice on it. Yeah. You can't have the spice on taco pizza. It doesn't work. Or maybe a little bit in the meat. Brent says, on a 1 to 10 scale, how good was your pizza yesterday? So Brent got me Bricks Pizza with an X, 2 X's. Bricks Pizza. I would say solid, and this is pretty high. Solid 8.5 out of 10. And I don't think I've ever had 10 out of 10 pizza, but I have had like 9.5 out of 10 pizza. So 8.5 is really high. Like it's a really high rating for me. I love me good pizza. Love me some good pizza. Fact Frenzy says, my new favorite disc for accurate fairway hits is the Sagara. So much reliability and feels natural in the hand. Have you ever tried it before and or know some similar discs? I like the Sagara. I did throw a used one, but actually an upcoming video of mine, I did a bag swap with my buddy Blaze, and I threw a Sagara several times because he has bagged it recently, and I like it. Just depends on exactly what you want. If you're looking for a similar disc with reliability and a touch of fade, but not a ton, the FD1 or the FD might fly really great for you. Maybe Prodigy F2. Maybe a T-Bird, but that might be a little bit more beefy depending on the stability of the specific T-Bird you have or the plastic. Yeah, just kind of depends. Good disc. Dude lost his Sagara. That's sad. Bryant had a crab rangoon pizza before. Not sure where from, but it was pretty amazing. Oh my gosh. I want that. I really want that. I'm getting so hungry. I'm getting so hungry right now. Man, I didn't have like I had like an early lunch dinner at 2, but I have not eaten really since then. I'm getting really hungry. I'm gonna go for like 10 more minutes and I'm gonna get some food. Mini owns, Zach is back. Welcome back. Real debate, does pineapple belong on pizza? So that's a complicated question. Belong is not the proper term because there's no topping that belongs on pizza. Does it work? Is it welcome on pizza? That's the real question. Pineapple is welcomed on Hawaiian pizza, but also if you pick it off, it's still great pizza because it has the flavor of the pineapple without the consistency and the ham and the cheese. Great pizza. So Hawaiian pizza is fantastic. But there are other combinations in which pineapple does not belong. So it's not an all-inclusive pineapple belongs on pizza, but rather pineapple will work on some pizza topping combinations, particularly Hawaiian. Steven says, I agree, pineapple on pizza works. Yes, Bryant says, yes, pineapple does belong on pizza. New poll. I will do this old poll that people are not voting for me. I don't know why. Luke, 64% wins the poll. Sad for me. Sad day for Brad. All right. New poll. Doc says, Duja, gonna have to ask you to leave. Duja says, why? I didn't even say my opinion. Look at this. Duja says pineapple does not belong. And Doc says people who eat pineapple on pizzas also throw 14 speed discs on sub 180-foot holes. So it looks like you're on the same page. Also, Bryant's kid would throw a 14 speed disc on a sub 180-foot hole. Did you not hear the entire conversation about the Ballista Pro? Doc is judgmental towards 7-year-old disc golfers. Are you guys hearing this? This is truly cruel. I cannot believe this. The hatefulness. It's just terrible. Chili dogs and chili fries, really good. Ever had Skyline chili? I have not. Hawaiian pizza is fire. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Brad's having food delusions. He's so hungry. I'm just saying, pineapple does not broadly belong on pizza, but you have to agree. You take some pineapple off of Hawaiian pizza and then eat it. It tastes great. Sweetness is just perfect balance. Doc accidentally voted Ben. Brent says, can't watch this guy anymore. Stream needs to end. I'll end it in 5 minutes. Had pizza rolls for the first time in my life yesterday, and holy, they are good. That's a little bit late in life to have your first pizza rolls, but I understand. My buddy, one of my college roommates, loved pizza rolls. We discovered if you dip your pizza rolls in sour cream, 23% increase in experience of the flavor. So try pizza rolls with some sour cream. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. So good. All votes Ben and me no. Guess what? It's accurate because he likes pineapple on pizza. Please don't discriminate against children, Doc. Thank you, Dujit, for backing me up. I can't believe that Doc would treat a 7-year-old like that. Doc says that, did I listen to that part? I was at work when I talked about it. Sure. Good excuse. Oh, I wasn't here. I didn't hear it. Sure. Right. We believe you. Brett needs to uninstall. Get some sleep, dude. You're up late. 2 nights in a row, you're out like past your midnight or past your curfew, past your bedtime. Just go to sleep, dude. Not the children's fault people eat pizza wrong. Yeah, here we go. Brent says pear and gorgonzola is actually really good. I never in my life would have dreamed of eating a pear and gorgonzola pizza. Had a slice yesterday. It was good. I was like, what am I eating? This is good. It just I didn't have the ability to comprehend how good it was. Jackson says you seem like such a chill guy. I guess I try. I try to be chill. I'm not what you would call an overreactor. Like Brent. Dude, lactose intolerant. Yep, of course. I know that. I just forgot. Family never gets them. Yeah. I retract my encouragement to have sour cream with your pizza rolls. Don't do it. For you, it will not turn out well. My bad. Even more outrageous than pineapple. Yeah, seriously, the pear, it was good. It was surprisingly very good. Steven says there are a few pizza places in Brooklyn I really want to try. The problem is they are in Brooklyn. Take a road trip to Charlotte over a short trip to Brooklyn any day. Jackson says he agrees with Brent. That's a dangerous thing. It's a slippery road. Slippery slope agreeing with Brent. So you have to do it in small doses. Perlin probably. Oh, here we go. Doc says, but you're right. Children, aka Brad, probably do like it. Also, they like ranch on pizza. So I'll make this very clear. Ranch does not belong on pizza, broadly speaking. However, if your pizza is not great, it actually pairs well with ranch, and ranch improves the flavor. It's like this. Pizza ranges from crappy to amazing. Ranch belongs on crappy to okay pizza, but on decent to good pizza, ranch does not belong. So ranch only matches up with the bottom half of pizza quality. The top half of pizza quality, ranch does not belong there. It does not match up. It does not play up to the level of the pizza. So ranch is great on pizza if you're eating like a frozen pizza, not frozen, but like you buy pizza from the store and you bake it in your oven and you pull it out, Jack's Pizza or Tombstone or whatever. Ranch is great. Good pairing. It's totally fine. But if you get Rick's Pizza or New York Pizza Plus or like a great pizza place, don't put ranch on that. Don't besmirch the good name of your pizza by pairing it with ranch. Zach says, when are you coming? So in a week, in 8 days, I'll be driving up to Michigan. Then hopefully, so in a week and a half, hopefully I'll swing through, be able to drop off the Raider. And I can't make any promises, but I'd love to play a round of disc golf. But then I'll have to head out to get my practice in at the toboggan course. So just over a week. Usually we'll still try it. Hopefully it'll be worth it. I mean, I thought it was worth it. And I'm lactose intolerant. It seems like you have a worse experience, than I shifted into. But I think it's worth it. Tempting with pineapple pizza. It's all good. Brent says, this guy's always throwing shade at that tree for hurting me. That tree got kicked by you. I don't think it was the tree's fault that you fractured your foot. It's all bark. Just go cut the tree down for me. Hey, I didn't actually see it happen. It happened like I was about to putt and Brett kicks a tree behind me in a tournament. I don't even know if I could identify which tree it was. Chicken bacon ranch pizza is solid. I'm getting so hungry. Chicken bacon ranch pizza is good. And a fair point to the ranch point of view is when it's incorporated into the pizza intentionally, it does benefit. Chicken bacon ranch works really well. But just adding ranch on the side, I think, different story. What if the branches are damp and a bit wet? It'll destroy his day. It could, yeah. How do you even screw up pizza? I've had vegetable pizza and it was atrocious. Like it was straight up, it was vegetable pizza, not pizza with vegetables on it. It was a like vegan vegetable pizza. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever had in my life. I remember maybe this is the only time, but I can at least count on one hand. I believe this is the only time my mother ever said, we don't have to eat this, and threw food away. I believe that has never otherwise happened in my entire life. But this instance of eating vegetable pizza, dinner got thrown away. That did not happen growing up. You ate it or you went hungry. There was no throwing away of food. This pizza got thrown away. You can do pizzas wrong. Add soup. Pizza and soup. Depends on the soup, but it could work out. I need you to try Tony's. Tony's Pizza, or just like, is it a restaurant? I mean, it sounds good. I'll try anything once. Got all the food. I am getting so hungry. Southwest style burritos, wraps. Have to. Oh, with extra napkins. Yeah. You do. It's true. Clear all pizza. All right, Brent's out. He's weak. Getting some sleep. Chuck E. Cheese pizza won't even make a Brent joke because the pizza's just so bad. I looked into Chuck E. Cheese history. I think it was Dugit that told me to. It was enlightening. Very strange history. Kind of creepy. Definitely weird, but very interesting. Yeah. Brad's mom sounds like mine. LOL. Probably very similar. Different topic. Without a stick retriever, what do you think is the best way to get a disc from a tree? Doc will probably say throw another disc. Terrible advice, Doc. Don't say that. Yeah, I just chuck a stick. golf ball in your bag does work. Tennis balls, if you got a tennis ball in the bag. At Jonesville, there was a tennis court, so it was always easy to like snag a tennis ball like every couple of weeks. If you lose it, like you have a free new tennis ball. That's just on the other side of the fence. Yeah, golf balls. Chuck E. Cheese salad bar was good. Interesting. Usually try to shake the base of the branch without breaking it. Yeah, that's fair too. If it's not too high up, if you can climb the tree, if you can shake the tree. But I've had like 35 feet in the air. That's always brutal because you're really just hoping that you can hit it with a stick. Yeah, it can get pretty obnoxious. Didn't even text them to see if they wanted their tennis ball back. I've thrown my fair share of tennis balls back over the fence, but when there's not someone on the court or the ball has clearly been there for a couple of days, I do not care. Dujit, don't have the best overhand accuracy, converted it all into lateral accuracy with the disc. The retriever with suction cups seem to work amazing. They are expensive and they do break. They can, especially if you like jam it back together. It can hit the base of it and pop the base out, and then it just falls out of the bottom. It happened live on the course with my brother. You can just buy the ball. They have a hole that you attach to your current retriever. There you go. All right, guys. It should be a normal schedule week for me. With my shorts, I should be able to drop a video this weekend, and then I'll be doing my live stream, and then I'm headed to Michigan. So trying to think if there will be any real interruptions. Oh, I am streaming Tuesday. I'll be doing another Oblivion stream. I would love to stream Friday, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to squeeze it in. But next week, I won't do my gaming stream because I'm going to be in Michigan with my family. I'm going to be busy. I'm not going to make that happen. Otherwise, yeah, should be kind of business as usual. And then you guys will start seeing some toboggan footage trickling down in the next couple of weeks. Until then, I have a bunch of ace runs from Michigan that I still haven't posted, and some ace runs from when I came back, some birdies of the day. So hopefully I can drop everything, clear my phone storage so that I have a lot of footage that I can get at Toboggan. And if all goes well, I should be able to have all 3 rounds filmed, which would be really amazing. Really cool. Bryant says, thanks again for the invite, brother. Of course, dude. Thanks for hopping on and joining. See you, Brad. Have a good snack. You deserve it. Oh, thanks. Thanks, dude. Kind of a lifesaver. Oh, retrievers on like a long string, you throw it into the water and reel it back. I have seen those. They do work. Good eating, Brad. Be well. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good luck at Toboggan. Thank you, Steven. I'll kind of take you guys with me, so you should be able to see some of it. It should be a decent turnaround. I'm hoping to do next week coverage. Yeah. Also, right before I get off, should I commentate my own coverage? I don't know. Team everyone else on Brad's card. Hashtag thanks, Doc. Appreciate it. The pros also get replenished discs. There you go. Oh, the pros seem to be able to get most discs out of the water with a random stick you just pick up. It's true. Why not let Justin and Luke commentate? Oh gosh. have them commentate, that'd be bad. I just need I need better voice recording software than just my phone or like my headset. Or not software, hardware. Like I need a mic or something. Vote. Pineapple on pizza. 44% yes. 44% no. 11% Ben. I guess we'll never know. Have Doc commentate? Oh gosh. Dujit and Doc commentate and then go off topic on soup. It's like when you have those commentators that you have one who's on topic and one who like goes off topic, says random things, and then gets brought back. When you both get off topic, it's disaster. Brad's tricky, stupid me voting for Ben. Gotcha. I knew it. I knew I'd pull your vote. Hashtag imposter disc golf. Add a toboggan would be funny. Oh gosh, unfilmable. Unfilmable. Oh no. Anyway, guys, thanks again for hopping on the stream. Appreciate all of you. See you soon. Watch the Ripped Revenge video. It's really good. All right. Accidentally commented in the wrong video and it's a soup cooking video. Okay. See you guys.